Chapter 384. Was there no justice in this world? Was there no law in this world? And Lin really wanted to call the police. Someone was defecating in his sea of vital energy. But then, he came to the tragic realization that no one would believe him. Even if someone did believe him, no one would be able to help him. I'm so tired, I really want to change this F***ed-up life. And Lin's fighting spirit had been greatly diminished, and he lay on his bed with a lifeless expression. At the same time, news of Lin's breakthrough to the soul formation stage spread throughout the entire school, creating a massive stir. Especially when the students heard that the tribulation lightning in the sky was a golden void lightning Kiran, and that Lin was able to control the golden void lightning Kiran, all of them fell silent. After that, they heard that Lin had successfully transcended his tribulation and that he had given birth to a Kiran son. All of the students were completely dumbstruck, as if they were listening to a heavenly book. Who would have thought that Senior Lin would actually break through to the soul formation stage? He's the first soul formation stage cultivator in our school, right? His rate of progression is insane. Isn't that the main point? Shouldn't the main point be that student Lin has refreshed our outlook on cultivation, transcending the golden void lightning tribulation, playing with the golden void lightning tribulation like a pet, and even giving birth to a mighty life form in the end? This has indeed reshaped my outlook on cultivation. I can't even describe my feelings with words. I just want to kneel down to Big Brother and right now. I'm so excited. We're living in the same school as a living legend. Thus, Lin's tribulation transcendence became the hottest topic in the school during this period of time. After resting for 2 days, Lin returned to school as usual. Lin discovered that his fame had already reached a terrifying level as he walked through the school ground. From time to time, he would bump into diehard fans who would scream at him to scare him away. Of course, these screams weren't intentional. They were simply too excited. Dao discussion posters, friendship posters, confession letters, all of them flew toward him like snowflakes. And Lin naturally didn't want to waste too much time reading all of these things. After all, there were simply too many for him to read. At most, he would just read the confession letter. The mission of raising Kiran's weight to 1 kilogram had been temporarily shelved by Lin. He didn't even know how to communicate with Kiran, so how was he supposed to fatten him up? Lin thought back to when he was carrying Kiran in his arms. He estimated that Kiran weighed around half a kilogram, which meant that he had to double Kiran's weight. This was a terrifying and difficult task. On an evening when the multicolored light enveloped the entire continent, an unexpected guest came to Lin's small pavilion. Dong dong dong, dong dong dong, there was a rhythmic knock on the door. Lin opened the door and was greeted by the sight of a pair of white, furry ears perked up. Looking down, there was a pair of round eyes and white rabbit teeth. "Good evening, fool," a pleasant voice rang out, and this rabbit that was half the height of a human swaggered into the room, completely not treating itself as a rabbit. Lin's lips twitched. If it weren't for the fact that she was still holding a bag of things in her hands, he would have kicked her out a long time ago. "Master, you too, I didn't think that you would take the time to visit me. I'm extremely flattered." Lin offered a fawning smile as he poured some tea for you. "Tuesday, the palace leader heard that you've already broken through to soul formation stage, so she sent me here to deliver some congratulatory gifts," you two said in a mature manner. Sigh. "Of course not. How could I ask Celestial Maiden Chang-yi to spend money on me? There's no need to give me anything. I'm already very happy that you came to visit me." Lin waved his hands in denial. You two smiled lightly as her large ears swayed in the air with elation. "You're a smart one. Then this Chang-yi mooncake is mine. I haven't had enough at the Moon Palace yet. The palace leader is so stingy. But she's treating you so generously." Lin was furious to hear this. This was Chang-yi's mooncake. Was this rabbit going to take him seriously just because he was being modest? With this in mind, he immediately snatched the bag from U2's hands at lightning speed before stowing it away into his storage ring. The entire process was as smooth as flowing water, and it was quite a sight to behold. Seeing as Master U2 is here, I naturally can't let you come here for nothing. Hence, I think it's best to cooperate with you so that you can complete the mission that Chang-Yi has assigned to you. Unlin wore a righteous expression as he stared at Tuesday. U2 blinked. I understand that, but why are you taking the dried carrots that I ate on the way here? White light flashed from her fingertips, and an intricately wrapped yellow plate appeared on the table. This is the mooncake that Chang-Yi wanted to give you. Unlin. This was an extremely awkward situation. In the end, Unlin brought out U2's dried carrots with a blush on his face, and U2 grumbled a few times about how idiot and really lived up to his reputation. There are a total of 6 mooncakes in this box, and they're all extremely high in energy. You can only eat one per week at most, so don't be greedy, U2 cautioned. Unlin nodded as he eagerly opened the box. There were 6 golden mooncakes in the box, all of which were as flawless as the full moon in the night sky, and they were exuding an extremely alluring white light. The faint fragrance of osmanthus flowers wafted through the entire room, making one's body tremble. Xiao Hong stopped photosynthesis due to this fragrance, and Dabai was jolted awake from his deep slumber. At the same time, Xiao Chou rushed into the room with golden light flashing from his eyes. Unlin swallowed as he repressed his urge to immediately eat the mooncake. Instead, he turned his gaze toward the white letter inside the mooncake box. He opened the letter curiously to find that the handwriting was as beautiful as flowing water and as pleasing to the eye. The content of the letter read, "Congratulations to fellow Taoist Unlin for progressing to the soul formation stage. I promised to give you a mooncake, and I've never forgotten about it. Now that you've received a double blessing, I'm giving you a mooncake to express my congratulations. Also, I'll be leaving Xiao Yu in your care. Make sure she drops to 25 kilograms within a month." Chang-Yi. After reading the letter, Unlin turned to U2 with a peculiar expression. "What does this mean?" U2 rolled her eyes. "Double blessing means that you've successfully progressed to the soul formation stage and given birth to a child." "That's not what I'm asking." Unlin immediately shook his head upon hearing this, but he then seemed to have realized something as his chest tightened again. "No. Why are you asking about this? This double blessing is toxic." U2 shook her head in a resigned manner. "Sigh, idiot, and I won't beat around the bush anymore. The palace mistress thinks I'm too fat to carry, so she doesn't want me anymore. She's given me a time limit of 25 kilograms within a month, and you're the supervisor. Do you understand what I'm saying now?" Unlin's lips twitched upon hearing this. "Help you to lose weight?" He suddenly recalled that he had mentioned to Chang-Yi that he was going to help U2 lose weight back in the Moon Grove, but who would have thought that she would actually take it seriously. Actually, the mooncakes that Chang-Yi had given him were definitely worth a lot, so it was only natural that he would help Chang-Yi out. However, he had absolutely no experience in this sort of thing. Unlin was still thinking about how to fatten up his golden baby, and now, an immortal rabbit was asking him to lose weight? His mind would most likely be filled with thoughts about weight in the coming days. He couldn't help but sigh with emotion. What was going on with this world? Was he really AF** King Cultivator? Chapter 385. When Dabai saw this, he walked over with his head held high. "Rabbit, since you're staying here, you have to abide by the rule of first come, first served. You can only be ranked 5th. I'm the second oldest, so you have to call me Brother Bai, understand? Woof." Dabai chuckled as he looked at Tuesday. U2's ruby-like eyes glowed with a cold light, and a jade pestle appeared in her hand. She rested it on her shoulder and chuckled. "Hee, you think you're worthy of being ranked ahead of me? Newcomer, there's no Chang'e to protect you here. It seems like you're not willing to be taught a lesson. Now, I'll let you see how powerful Brother Bai is." Woof. Dabai was also unwilling to be outdone. He wore the chaotic heaven-shattering claws on his hand and waved them in the air toward you Tuesday. A frosty light tore through the air, accompanied by bursts of sharp screeches. You? I'll beat you into a crippled dog. Jade Rabbit waved the jade pestle and leaped towards Dabai. Rabbit, don't be arrogant. I'll teach you how to be a rabbit. Woof woof. Dabai roared with rage as he also charged toward you Tuesday. And Lin watched coldly from the side. He was too lazy to interfere in this matter. Thus, a fierce battle began. Thump thump thump. Pa pa pa. Da da da. Poo piu piu. The battle ended. Dabai was lying on the ground with a bruised and swollen face, while you two sat on Dabai's belly with a complacent look on her face. She waved the jade pestle and burst into laughter as she said, "Useless dog, do you really think you can talk nonsense in front of me? You overestimate yourself." Dabai had never thought that he would be ridden by a rabbit one day, and he couldn't help but feel humiliated. However, when he saw the powerful jade pestle, he instantly lost his temper. "All right, big sister rabbit, I admit that you're ranked ahead of me. Your big brother and's #1 pet beast, that's fine, right? At least you know what's good for you." You two nodded with satisfaction before letting Dabai off the hook. However, several seconds later, you two's furry ears pricked up as she glared at him. "No. When did I become Idiot Anne's pet beast? My God, what am I so happy about? Hee hee, it's your good fortune to become my pet beast." And Lin grabbed you two's ear and lifted it up. Then, he realized that the moon rabbit was really F***king heavy. No wonder Chang'e didn't even want to hug it. "How dare you be so rude to this rabbit?" You two was so angry that she started yelling. She was about to hit Lin's head with the jade pestle when she saw Lin taking out Chang'e's letter and waving it in front of her. A mysterious wave spread out, causing her to wilt in an instant. Lin put you two down with a smile and said, "I'm your supervisor now, so you have to listen to me. You arrived later than Little Red, Dabai, and the clown, so you can only be ranked 5th. Also, here, you must be humble, respectful, and follow the rules. Don't bully Dabai, understand?" You two's long ears drooped with a resigned expression. Got it. She didn't have to listen to anyone else, but she had to listen to Chang'e. Otherwise, it would be impossible for her to eat delicious food in the Moon Palace from now on. "Don't be sad, sister. Big Brother Bai will take good care of you." Woof. Dabai was ecstatic to see that the tables had turned, and he spoke with a solemn expression. You two raised the jade pestle in her hand again, and Dabai immediately cowered like a dog. "All right, let's get down to business. How much do you weigh, Xiao Yu?" And Lin asked. You two pursed her lips. "Don't you know it's very rude to ask a girl about her weight?" And Lin's lips twitched. "But you're a rabbit, and I have to supervise your weight loss." You two stowed her jade pestle into her storage ring before pulling out a white disc and placing it on the ground before jumping onto it. The disc glowed with a dazzling light, and a number appeared on it. 54. 758. "I have to lose over 2 kilograms in a month. Can I use a liposuction immortal technique?" And Lin was suddenly struck by a sense of foreboding, and he asked. You two chuckled as a disdainful expression appeared on her face. "I'm a mythological beast of the moon. Liposuction immortal technique? Can you even do that? Even the palace leader can't do that." And Lin didn't seem to mind. "What's your plan then?" "I don't have a plan. This is a super difficult problem. I can only wait for the palace leader to change her mind and accept my weight so that I can return to her." A dejected expression suddenly appeared on You two's face as she looked out the window at the darkening sky with boundless grief. And Lin was a little amused by this scene. You two had been disliked by Chang'e due to her weight. If news of this were to spread, it would be big news. "How about this? I'll come up with a weight loss plan for you. You'll only eat a carrot every day and exercise for 6 hours. How does that sound?" And Lin suggested with a smile. You two looked at Lin as if she were looking at an idiot. If you can lose a kilogram or two according to this plan, you win. Lin took a deep breath. What if I don't eat for a month and train for 24 hours every day for a month? You two flared up with rage. Idiot N. You're torturing me. And even if I do that, I won't be able to lose even half a kilogram. That's so hard to lose weight. As expected of a mythological beast of the moon. A surprised expression appeared on Lin's face. It looked like normal weight loss methods were completely useless on you Tuesday. He had to think of something else. After thinking for a while, he proposed a few more weight loss plans, all of which were rejected by you Tuesday. In the end, he could only empty his mind and do something meaningful. And that meaningful thing was eat a mooncake. And Lin brought out a mooncake that was as round as a crescent moon from his storage ring. It was only about the size of a bowl, but it seemed to be able to nourish all things under the light of the crescent moon. What a beautiful mooncake! Xiao Hong transformed into a young woman in a red dress and stood off to the side with excitement flashing through her eyes. This was the first time she had developed an interest in something other than the sun. You two also licked her lips involuntarily. This mooncake is imbued with the power of the moon, and it's made from all types of spirit plants and osmanthus flowers. Not only is it the most delicious mooncake in the world, but it can also extend one's lifespan by 1,000 years. Aside from that, it can also enhance one's meridians and bones, as well as imbue one's sea of vital energy with the power of the moon. And Lin, you've only just progressed to the soul formation stage, so you can consolidate your cultivation base after eating this mooncake. And Lin's eyes widened upon hearing this, and he couldn't help but sigh with emotion. As expected of a mooncake made by Chang Yi, this mooncake is even more valuable than an immortal pill. A smug smile appeared on Yu Tu's face. Of course. And Lin cut the mooncake into 5 equal portions with an excited expression, revealing the filling within. The filling was as intricately crafted as golden jade, and the fragrance of the osmanthus flowers was imbued with a unique fragrance that instantly permeated the entire pavilion. It smells so good. Just the aroma alone is so intoxicating. And Lin's eyes narrowed with bliss. Dabai was already drooling all over the ground, and even Xiao Cho was swallowing his saliva incessantly. Come on, I've already cut them up, so each of you can have one. And Lin smiled as he spoke to his beast pets. You're the best, big brother, and I love you so much, woof. Dabai pounced forward like a hungry wolf, and he immediately placed a small piece of the mooncake into his mouth. He had only just begun to chew on the mooncake when his body shuddered, and he collapsed to the ground as he moaned, That was so good, big brother, and that was so good, woof. And Lin's expression darkened as he kicked the stupid dog aside. Xiao Cho also picked up a piece and began to eat with relish as the light in his eyes became brighter and brighter. You've finally done something good, master. Xiao Hong picked up a piece of mooncake with her slender fingers before placing it into her mouth with a seductive expression on her face as she ate with elation. And Lin immediately urged you to, Xiao Yu, you should take a piece as well. A hesitant expression appeared on Yu Tu's face. This is a gift from the palace leader, can I eat it as well? And Lin didn't expect the arrogant Yu Tu to be so polite to him, and a faint smile appeared on his face. Seeing as you're under my control now, of course I'll share everything with you. Otherwise, why do you think I cut this mooncake into 5 equal portions? Yu Tu faltered slightly upon hearing this, and she didn't bicker with Lin. Instead, she picked up a piece of mooncake with her pristine white paws. Then I won't be holding back. Lin picked up the final piece of mooncake with a smile as Yu Tu also began to eat. The delicious taste instantly exploded in his mouth, and his entire body shuddered. The power of the moon transformed into a warm current that nourished his entire body, consolidating his cultivation base. A portion of the power merged into his sea of vital energy, giving it a faint glow of moonlight, while another portion enshrouded his consciousness, making it even more solid. In that instant, Lin felt as if he had traveled to the moon and was floating among a sea of osmanthus flowers. Chang'e was smiling at him, and Yu Tu was jumping around him. Countless words could be summed up into a single word. Awesome. Chapter 386. Just as Lin was basking in the wondrous feeling of eating the mooncake, his sea of vital energy began to stir. Lin could only turn his attention to his sea of vital energy. However, what he saw gave him a fright. The golden baby opened his mouth and swallowed all of the power of the moon into his sea of vital energy. Burp! The golden baby burped before lying down on his sea of vital energy with a content expression. Lin's eyes lit up. Could it be that this baby could gain weight by eating the power of the moon? He immediately pulled out another mooncake and sliced it in half before placing the other half into his mouth. A feeling of bliss instantly swept through Lin's body, and he collapsed onto his bed. The pure power of the moon filled every part of his body, and the power of the moon flowed into his sea of vital energy, where it began to glow with a faint golden light. The golden baby was extremely excited, and he leaped into the air to devour the power of the moon. Finally, at a certain moment, the space in his sea of vital energy rumbled, and a crescent moon insignia appeared on the golden baby's forehead. At the same time, a number suddenly appeared on his chest, which jumped from 131 to 149. 3 Tai Chu characters also appeared, the full moon. Soon, the words and numbers began to disappear. The golden baby's stomach bulged as he lay down in his sea of vital energy and fell into a deep sleep. There was still a lot of power of the moon in his sea of vital energy, so it looked like the golden baby really had eaten enough. Lin came to a realization. He wanted to raise the golden baby's weight to 1 kilogram, which was why he wanted the number to become 2. As for how he could feed Kiran, one of the ways he could do that was by feeding him food to circulate energy into his sea of vital energy. The crescent moon insignia on the golden baby's forehead indicated that he no longer needed the power of the moon. It was time to think about what other types of energy he could consume. Lin turned his gaze toward the remaining half of the mooncake to find that all 4 of his beast pets were staring at the mooncake with envious expressions. Dabai was almost unable to restrain himself as his mouth drew closer and closer to the mooncake. A smile appeared on his face as he distributed the remaining half of the mooncake to his beast pets. The beast pets all yelled, "Long live Big Brotherin!" before happily munching on the remaining half of the mooncake. Just like that, Lin and the others ate 2 pieces of mooncake that Chang'e sent over. Lin was in a pretty good mood. Since they were all for his own people to eat, he didn't feel any heartache. Moreover, he also knew how to feed the golden baby. This was the biggest gain. He patted his storage ring to find that there were only 4 mooncakes left out of the original 6. It was a good idea to share such a good item with a friend. The night deepened and the river of stars shone brightly. The students' loft was still brightly lit. None of them had the habit of resting too early. Many of them were either studying spells, meditating, or doing breathing exercises. Of course, there were also people who cultivated overnight. Lin had changed into a set of white robes, and he looked quite handsome as well. Even though he still couldn't compare to Big Brother Ching in terms of looks, his disposition as a sword immortal was unmistakably on display, and he was much more powerful than Big Brother Ching, who had been walking further and further down the path of weaponry. He looked at himself in the mirror with satisfaction and asked, "Dabai, do you think my temperament is better or Big Brother Cheng's?" He wasn't going to compare appearances, so he focused on temperament. "Of course Big Brother An's temperament is better," Dabai replied without any hesitation. "That's right, Master has the best temperament." Xiao Hong chimed in a sweet voice. Lin was ecstatic to hear this. "Why do you think I have the best temperament?" "Because you fed us mooncakes today," Dabai replied without any hesitation. "That's right. Master's temperament can last until tomorrow, Xiao Hong replied with an earnest expression. And Lin's chest constricted, and he almost threw up a mouthful of blood. You two burst into laughter upon seeing this, and she couldn't even hold onto her carrot properly. You can't even tell that I have the temperament of a sword immortal? You should all go see an ophthalmologist. Lin grumbled before leaving. He made his way to the nearby loft before gently knocking on the door. The door opened to reveal a lithe and graceful woman in a Taoist robe. She looked like a celestial maiden under the moonlight. The corners of her lips curled up into an exquisitely beautiful smile upon seeing who it was. Lin, you're here to drink tea again? Lin gave an embarrassed smile. Su Xiaolan's sect was situated on a divine tree that was over 10,000 meters tall, and the tea leaves harvested from the divine tree were extremely delicious. Hence, Lin would often come to Su Xiaolan's house to drink tea and chat with her. Why are you still standing outside like an idiot? Hurry up and come in. Su Xiaolan waved a hand with a smile. Lin didn't refuse. They had been neighbors for close to 3 years, so he had visited her many times. He walked into the loft and was instantly struck by a sense of contentment as he inhaled the refreshing fragrance wafting from within. What tea do you want today? Is it divine yang tea or white moon tea? Su Xiaolan looked at Lin with an inquiring expression. White moon tea. Lin felt like this tea was more in line with the theme of the night. All right. Su Xiaolan smiled daintily as she retrieved some tea leaves from her storage ring. Her slender hands began to brew tea on the table in an elegant and graceful manner. The two of them chatted for a while before Lin took the initiative to speak. I actually came here tonight because I have something good to give you. What is it? I don't want it if it's too expensive. Su Xiaolan sipped her tea, and her eyes were as bright as a clear spring. It's not expensive. It's just a piece of flatbread, Lin replied in a light voice. Oh? Did you make it yourself? Su Xiaolan's interest was piqued. Lin didn't say anything. He retrieved a mooncake from his storage ring and placed it on the table. All of a sudden, moonlight illuminated the room, and the fragrance of osmanthus wafted through the air. Su Xiaolan, does your flatbread look like this? Lin knew that he couldn't hide this from Su Xiaolan, so he could only reveal the truth. Chang Yi actually gave it to me, but it's really not expensive. I still have a few more in my storage ring, so you have to accept this one. Su Xiaolan picked up the mooncake and sniffed it with her delicate nose. The aroma was extremely alluring. She put down the mooncake and looked deeply into Lin's eyes. These mooncakes are clearly extraordinary. I didn't think Chang Yi would take the initiative to give you a few. Tell me the truth, what's your relationship with Chang Yi? Lin, we're not even friends. Actually, Chang Yi didn't give me these mooncakes for nothing. I still have to help her moon rabbit lose weight to less than 25 kilograms in a month. Lin explained in a truthful manner. In the face of Su Xiaolan's questioning, not only was he not annoyed, he was even a little happy. Su Xiaolan blinked in confusion. What's so difficult about that? You can just feed it to Moon Rabbit with weight loss pills. Boom. This was like a clap of thunder exploding in Lin's mind, jolting him to his senses. That's right, it was very difficult for Moon Rabbit to lose weight through physical therapy, but he could still rely on weight loss pills. Normal weight loss pills might not be effective, but there were some high-rank pills that were very potent, so they should be able to dissolve the excess fat in a mythological beast's body. He would go and ask Ishi about this tomorrow. Brilliant. Lin chatted with Su Xiaolan for a while longer and learned that there were many types of pills that had miraculous weight loss effects on beasts. Perhaps he could give them a try, and this made him even more determined to find Ishi. Su Xiaolan put away the mooncakes Lin had given her. It was quite clear that she really liked this present. After all, this was a mooncake personally made by Chang Yi. Even for the members of the Celestial Court, it was extremely rare for them to have a chance to taste it. After leaving Su Xiaolan's dorm room, Unlin made his way toward Big Brother Ching in high spirits. Chapter 387. Unlin knocked on Big Brother Ching's door, and was greeted by the sight of the extraordinarily handsome Big Brother Ching. F***ck, Big Brother Ching. What are you doing? Unlin was rooted to the spot upon seeing Xianyuan Ching, and he cried out involuntarily. Xianyuan Ching stood tall and straight in his dark green military uniform. The golden stars on his shoulders shone brightly, giving him a majestic and spirited appearance. However, that wasn't the point. The point was, why was Big Brother Ching wearing a military uniform? A rare blush appeared on Xianyuan Cheng's face upon seeing the shock on Unlin's face. Classmate Unlin, Huang Shanshan gave me this uniform. She said that I look very spirited in it, so I tried it on. Sure enough, my aura has improved tremendously. Unlin took a deep breath. His aura had improved tremendously? His aura had become F***king twisted. He had transformed from a transcendent immortal into a soldier who protected the country. Was it because he had been too deeply influenced by the nuclear bomb and was going to go down the military route? Xianyuan Ching said with a serious expression, "This uniform can change the spiritual outlook of the sect's disciples. I think we can try to promote it in the sect." Unlin's lips twitched as he imagined the scene of all the sect's disciples in their military uniforms flying on their swords and unleashing all kinds of immortal spells. It had to be said that it was truly a devilish idea. Xianyuan Ching invited Unlin into his room and began to elaborate on his plan to change the spiritual outlook of the sect. From the uniform to the discipline, then to the collective consciousness of the sect, and finally, from the military soul of the mortal world to the immortal soul of the sect. The more Unlin listened, the more impressed he became. Big Brother Cheng's words really did make sense. As expected of a prodigy, he had a brilliant idea. A nuclear bomb immortal sect was slowly rising. In the end, Unlin gave a mooncake to Xianyuan Ching. Xianyuan Ching didn't put on any airs and accepted the mooncake graciously, but he remembered this favor in his heart. After that, Unlin went to Su Qianyun's attic. In the end, he found out that this girl ate mooncakes during every festival. She ate mooncakes during the Spring Festival, the Lantern Festival, the Dragon Boat Festival, the Mid-Autumn Festival, and even the Double Ninth Festival. Why don't we eat mooncakes on the Qingming Festival? Su Qianyun said, "Drinking osmanthus honey on Tomb Sweeping Day is more effective than mooncakes." A furious slam. Unlin couldn't give out these mooncakes, so he could only teach Su Qianyun a foreign language. An hour later, he returned to his residence and asked Yu-Tu how many mooncakes she could eat in a year. Yu-Tu said that it was only available once a year, and they could only eat it during the Mid-Autumn Festival. Unlin asked again, "Then why can Su Qianyun eat it 5 times a year?" Tears welled up in Yu-Tu's eyes upon hearing this, and she continued to nibble on her carrot in silence. Unlin finally felt a little better upon seeing Yu-Tu like this. The next morning, Unlin applied for a day of leave before flying toward Do Shui Palace. In Do Shui Palace, Unlin went to find Ishi. Ishi had already listed Unlin as an VIP guest, so he could go to the pill refinement chamber to find him even if he didn't state the purpose of his visit. "Mr. Unlin, congratulations on reaching the soul formation stage. I've been busy with pill refinement these past few days and didn't have the time to congratulate you. I'm very sorry, but I'd like to apologize to you." A joyful expression appeared on Ishi's face upon seeing Unlin, and he immediately went up to greet him. "You're too kind, Senior Ishi." Unlin glanced at Ishi. His body had grown a lot rounder, but his movements were just as agile as before. "How impressive." He continued, "I'm here to ask if you can refine a pill for you two to lose weight." Ishi's eyes immediately widened upon hearing this. "You two? Are you kidding me? Why would she want to lose weight? Why else would she want to lose weight? She's too fat, of course." Unlin rolled his eyes. "No matter how fat she is, she's not as fat as I am." If I'm not afraid, what's she afraid of? Ishi was perplexed, and Lin's face convulsed. If she was as fat as you, even Chang-Yi would have to silence her. She's currently over 54 kilograms, so what pill would she need to reduce her weight to less than 25 kilograms? What a waste, what a waste! You too is a mythological beast of the moon. Do you know how precious her fat is? Ishi spoke with an agitated expression. I don't care, this is Chang-Yi's idea as well. Just tell me how much the pill will cost. Lin pursed his lips with a determined expression. Sigh. Do you see the fat on my body? Ishi patted his stomach, and his voice boomed like a drum. Lin nodded. I'm not blind. My fat is imbued with the essence of the pill, and after repeated tempering, half a kilogram of fat contains enough energy to withstand an attack from a true god. This is my alchemy path. When the energy is condensed to the extreme, it's time to transform into a dragon. Ishi spoke in a solemn voice. Lin faltered slightly upon hearing this. Ishi weighed over 300 kilograms, so his fat was at least 50 kilograms. That was indeed a terrifying thought. Yu too is a mythological beast of the moon and is constantly nourished by the essence of the moon. She also has the bloodline of a mythological beast, so half a kilogram of her fat is countless times more precious than my fat. Do you understand now? Ishi paused momentarily before continuing. Chang-Yi is even more talented in pill refinement than I am, so why didn't she use pills to help you two lose weight? She probably felt that doing so would be too much of a waste. Lin felt like this made sense, and he couldn't help but hesitate. Furthermore, the mythological beast Yu too has a special constitution. In order to expel the fat from her body, a 6th-grade immortal pill, the Myriad Lotus Heavy Liquid Pill, is required. 1 Myriad Lotus Heavy Liquid Pill can reduce half a kilogram of fat, and it costs 400,000 spirit stones. 5 immortal pills would be 2 million spirit stones, Ishi explained. Lin immediately felt like this was a very reasonable explanation, and he nodded in agreement. Senior Ishi's words are truly enlightening. I've benefited immensely from this. Using immortal pills to lose weight is simply too stupid. Fat is such a wonderful thing. It can block impact, it can be used as a backup energy source, and it can also enhance the sensation of touch. Only an idiot would go on a diet. Ishi patted Lin's shoulder with a gratified expression. Haha, Mr. Lin, you're really quick on the uptake. Lin thought to himself, I can't not get it right. That many spirit stones is going to cost me my life. Senior Ishi, since fat is a valuable source of energy, and you said that half a kilogram of your fat is equivalent to an attack from a true god, then do you have any way to quickly use the energy from this fat? Lin suddenly asked. His idea was very simple. Since he couldn't use medicine to expel fat, then he would use it. Sigh, I have indeed mastered this method, but my pill Tao might not be suitable for you too. Ishi was a little conflicted. So be it. My pill Tao was also inspired by you. If you really want to learn this method to quickly use fat as energy, I'll teach you the cultivation method, and you can tell you too about it. Of course, how much she can learn will depend on her luck. Ishi heaved a forlorn sigh and began to teach the cultivation method to Lin. Lin's eyes lit up the more he listened to the cultivation method. This method of energy conversion was completely unheard of. Not only was the conversion process highly efficient and harmless, but it also gave him a vague sense of harmony with the great Tao. He looked at Ishi, who was now as fat as a ball, and took a deep breath. Perhaps Ishi really could carve a new path for himself on the path of pill eating. After listening to the cultivation method, Lin bowed solemnly to express his gratitude to Ishi. You don't need to thank me. If it weren't for your pill-eating performance, I wouldn't have been able to learn this method. Ishi wore a nonchalant expression. There was still a long way to go, and this cultivation method was only the beginning. Lin bade farewell to Ishi and happily returned with the cultivation method. The door to a new world had been opened to him. This was a world that belonged to countless gluttons. You don't have to worry about getting fat, it will become your greatest power. Now it's up to you too. Chapter 388. Within the dorm room, a series of thumping sounds could be heard. A rabbit that was about half the height of a grown man was hopping around with a long red rope in its hand. She had to complete the target set by Lin of skipping 100,000 times a day, and she was already halfway there. She didn't appear to be fatigued in the slightest, and her expression was extremely calm and collected. Lin returned to the dorm room to find U2 skipping non-stop with a gratified expression on his face. Without any hesitation, he taught U2 the cultivation method that Ishii had taught him on how to use fat as energy. U2 also wore an expression of astonishment upon hearing this. Who created this self-ignition cultivation method? That's insane. Lin replied with a serious expression, it was created by Senior Ishii. Without his permission, you are not allowed to reveal this cultivation method to anyone else. Who are you trying to fool? That fat ball Ishii can create a cultivation method like this? U2 was skeptical. Don't underestimate him. This is a cultivation method derived from his Tao of alchemy. It's not that I'm exaggerating, but if the energy in his stomach were to completely explode, he would be able to blow up the entire celestial court. A smug smile appeared on Lin's face. Ishii had taught him the fat-burning cultivation method, so he was like a teacher and a friend to Lin. As such, Lin was extremely proud of Ishii's power. U2 fell silent for a moment and didn't refute Lin's words. Instead, she was quite eager to give it a try. I've already attained some understanding of this cultivation method. How about we give it a try? Lin was of the same mind and nodded. Alright. Thus, the human and rabbit flew toward the clouds outside the academy atop the black brick and jade pestle. The scorching sun hung high in the sky, and white clouds floated beneath their feet. Lin and U2 stood side by side atop the clouds as they activated their respective cultivation method. Lin felt a warm current form in his abdomen before quickly spreading throughout his entire body. After that, it was as if his body had been set ablaze. The scorching energy flowed through his meridians and converged toward his mouth under the guidance of the cultivation method. Lin and U2 looked at each other to see the anxiety in each other's eyes. Then, they averted their gazes and looked into the distance with their mouths agape. Boom! An extremely terrifying pillar of golden energy erupted from Lin's mouth, extending for several kilometers and instantly dispelling the white clouds. It was as if a river of flames had appeared in the sky, causing the space around it to twist and warp from the scorching heat. A pillar of golden energy also erupted from U2's mouth. This pillar of energy was more than 10 times more powerful than the one Lin had unleashed, and even Lin was sent flying by the powerful shockwave. Boom! A sky-shaking boom rang out. The golden beam of light extended for countless miles, and even the clouds within a radius of tens of miles were shattered by the terrifying shockwave. Numerous cracks that were fine like spider webs had even appeared on the trajectory of the flaming pillars, and they emanated the aura of destruction and chaos. U2 smacked her smoking lips and said in a crisp voice, "It's so hot." Lin sucked in a breath of cold air and said with widened eyes, "How terrifying." Fortunately, they were cautious and chose to practice in the sky outside the school. If they had practiced like this in the school, the entire back mountain would definitely have been obliterated by U2's mouth cannon. Even Lin's own mouth cannon was extremely powerful. It was comparable to his trump card, Nuclear Lightning Fist, and it was even safer than Lin's. The only downside was that he would suffer from exhaustion after using this technique. Let me see the results first. U2 immediately pulled out the white disc and placed it in midair before leaping onto it with an uneasy expression. The jade disc began to glow with scintillating light, and a number appeared on its surface. 54. 536. And Lin and U2 were both ecstatic. They had succeeded. Their weight had increased from 54,758 to 54,536. It's a pity that I feel so tired after using this technique. I'm afraid I can only use it once a day. U2 was a little disappointed. What are you afraid of? Even if you only use it once a day, you'll still be able to lose over 3 kilograms in a month. Your weight loss plan will be a piece of cake. And Lin chortled with glee. U2 was also ecstatic upon hearing this, and she leaped into Lin's arms like a little bunny. When I return to the Moon Palace, I'll give you osmanthus cakes. Lin almost fell off the flying brick after being knocked flying by U2's F***ck. She's so heavy. Does she think she's a little bunny? Lin held U2 in his arms as he grumbled internally. However, he was actually quite happy that he was able to help U2 lose weight. And the person he needed to thank the most was Ishi. If it weren't for Ishi, he definitely wouldn't have been able to find a better way to lose weight. And Lin decided to go to Do Shui Palace another day to give Ishi a big present to express his gratitude. Alright, I'll give him half a mooncake. The two of them returned to the dorm room with elation in their hearts. After entering the dorm room, they immediately fell asleep. The after-effects of using the fat-burning technique were even more severe than they had imagined. Not only were they completely exhausted now, but they were also suffering from the pain brought about by the burning technique. The next morning, U2 continued to set off fireworks. After releasing that earth-shattering blast, she returned to the dorm room in low spirits and fell asleep again. And Lin went to Do Shui Palace again to present the other half of the mooncake. Ishi's eyes widened at the sight of the mooncake, and his breathing accelerated. Mr. Lin, this is a mooncake made by Chang-yi? Lin nodded with a solemn expression. Of course it is. The Moon Palace leader gave me a mooncake. I'm only going to eat half, and I'm giving the other half to Mr. Ishi. You don't have to be polite with me, you have to accept this mooncake. Ishi's eyes were brimming with tears of excitement as he hugged Lin tightly. Brother, you really are my good brother. You're even willing to give me half of such a miraculous mooncake. What else can I say? Don't worry, I'll be sure to remember brother Lin's kindness. In terms of utility, the mooncake was probably about the same as a normal immortal pill, but its actual value was nowhere near that. This was because Chang-yi's mood dictated who she gave the mooncake to, and there were very few people in the celestial court who had the fortune to eat a mooncake like this. As such, the value of the mooncake was extremely high. Lin smiled warmly and tried to pat Ishi's back, but to his surprise, he only managed to pat his arm. Thus, the two of them embraced each other passionately for a while longer. Lin didn't expect Ishi to be so emotional. He didn't know whether he was moved by Chang-yi's precious mooncakes or whether he was moved by Chang-yi's love for him, but he was extremely emotional as he sobbed like a baby. Alright, Mr. Ishi, I still have something to ask you. Lin had no choice but to cut off this emotional scene. What do you want to ask? Just ask, I'll tell you everything I know. Ishi looked at Lin with an extremely friendly and passionate gaze, and Lin was a little unaccustomed to it. It's actually not a big deal. I just want to know if there are any pills that can directly diffuse the power of the pill into one sea of vital energy and form a ball of energy. Lin recalled some of the characteristics of that day before replying. Ishi took a deep breath, and the light in his eyes became even more dazzling than before. Could it be that Mr. Lin is going to perform pill eating again? Even though pills that can form balls of energy in one sea of vital energy are extremely rare, I can still refine a few types. Chapter 389. What are they? Tell me. Lin's eyes lit up. Ishi pondered for a moment before replying. The 7th grade immortal pill, War Spirit Immortal Pill, can manifest the power of spirit severing in the sea of vital energy. The 6th grade immortal pill, Frost God Wolf Pill, can manifest the power of Wolf Frost in the sea of vital energy. The 3rd grade immortal pill, Heavenly Scorching Realm Pill, can manifest the power of heavenly flames in the sea of vital energy. The second-grade immortal pill, extreme soul life and death pill, can manifest the power of battle in the sea of vital energy. Lin nodded upon hearing this. The cheapest immortal pill was the seventh-grade immortal pill, War Spirit pill. The price of this experiment was really high. Give me a seventh-grade immortal pill, War Spirit immortal pill. He thought for a moment before finally speaking. All right, I'll refine it for you right away. Ishii was extremely excited. He had obtained a mooncake and had the opportunity to witness Lin's pill-swallowing performance again. Today was his lucky day. An hour later, a pill brimming with immortal energy flew into Lin's hand. This immortal pill cost him 250,000 spirit stones, which was just barely within his acceptable range. He swallowed the immortal pill on the spot without any hesitation. Ishii's eyes lit up. As expected of a pill-swallowing mighty figure, he swallowed the pill in such a confident and decisive manner, and his expression was as calm and collected as if he was eating a candy. Such a mental state is truly a role model for all of us. Lin, the power of the immortal pill quickly spread through his body under the effects of the evergreen technique. An extremely pure burst of energy was constantly strengthening Lin's body. At the same time, a burst of power that could slice through all things slowly seeped into his sea of vital energy, forming a vortex of wind blades. Lin looked into his sea of vital energy, and his heart rate gradually accelerated. Idiot, hurry up and eat this vortex of wind blades. Sure enough, Kiran also immediately noticed the vortex of wind blades, and he chuckled gleefully before flying toward it and slapping it in the face. Slap! His sea of vital energy surged, and the vortex of wind blades was forcibly dispersed by the golden baby, Lin. After doing all this, Kiran yawned and continued to sleep in his sea of vital energy. Lin's heart ached a little. Was this considered cheating? Could it be that it was a coincidence that Kiran had consumed the power of the moon before, and he couldn't consume other powers that had entered his sea of vital energy? The power of spirit severing was not so easy to disperse. It would form back up in another location. As long as Lin used an immortal technique, it would be imbued with the power of spirit severing. After the wind blade vortex materialized again, Kiran didn't spare it another glance and continued to sleep. Ishii couldn't help but ask upon seeing Lin's aggrieved and sad expression, "You failed." Lin nodded solemnly. Ishii was also quite dejected upon seeing this. He didn't know what Lin had failed on, but the fact that the pill-eating mighty figure hadn't triggered any natural phenomena indicated that the experiment had most likely failed. He consoled, "Fellow cultivator Lin, the path of alchemy has always been filled with countless failures. You mustn't be discouraged, don't give up." Lin, "I only ate an immortal pill. Why is he talking about the path of alchemy?" However, there was one thing that Lin couldn't agree with, and that was that now was not the time to give up. "Fellow cultivator Ishii, help me refine the sixth-grade immortal pill, the Frost God Wolf pill." Lin spoke with a determined expression. "All right, I'll go and refine it right away." Ishii's eyes lit up. As expected of a pill-eating mighty figure, once he ate, he would be able to gush out a mouthful of pills endlessly. His heroic spirit soared to the heavens and shook heaven and earth. After another hour, the refinement of the Frost God Wolf pill was completed. Lin held the white immortal pill in his hand, and the howl of a wolf imbued with an ancient might suddenly erupted from the immortal pill, striking fear into everyone's hearts. As expected of a sixth-grade immortal pill. To think that it would trigger such a powerful phenomenon. These 350,000 spirit stones were well spent. Lin smiled lightly as he placed the immortal pill into his mouth. Boom! This time, an icy chill swept through his entire body, causing every single cell in his body to tremble. His bones became more resolute, and his muscles also became more solid. A regal aura emanated from his body before quickly receding. At the same time, the projection of a frosty wolf god appeared above his sea of vital energy. The wolf god's entire body was azure blue, and it raised its head high, as if it were a king looking down upon all its enemies. Then, its head was eaten by an Kirin. The golden baby danced with excitement as he tore the wolf god apart with his bare hands, transforming it into streaks of pure frosty wolf energy before swallowing them into his stomach. Soon, the wolf god was completely engulfed. Boom! The space in the sea of vital energy tremored, and immediately afterward, a snowflake insignia appeared on the golden baby's forehead. At the same time, a number suddenly appeared on his chest, jumping from 149 to 161, along with 3 Tai Chu characters. Frost is full. Yay, success! Lin was extremely excited by this development, and he jumped up in joy. Perhaps it was because he had just consumed the immortal pill and exercised too vigorously, but he suddenly felt a discomfort in his stomach, which was immediately followed by excruciating pain. Ah, it hurts! Lin clutched his stomach. Brother Lin, are you all right? Ishi was given a fright as he held on to Lin, thinking that Lin was suffering from excessive pill consumption and immediately prepared to use a spell technique to heal him. Lin shook his head. I'm fine. Thump. A golden baby fell to the ground and the baby bawled loudly. Wah! It hurts, wah! Everyone fell silent. Lin stood rooted to the spot, not expecting something like this to happen. However, he had seen something like this before, so he was able to remain relatively calm. This was the first time Ishi had seen something like this, and his eyes were as wide as saucers. He looked at Lin, then at the wailing golden baby on the ground, and his body trembled violently. After a long while, he finally spoke in a stammering voice. Lin said, Senior, eating pills can give birth? Lin. She only knew that Lin had broken through to the soul formation stage, but he had never heard of Lin throwing up a baby. Thus, he felt as if his worldview had been completely refreshed upon seeing this scene. A certain shackle had been unlocked, and he was presented with a completely different view. Lin picked up the golden baby and explained with a solemn expression, eating pills can't give birth. This is a spirit object that suddenly appeared after I broke through to the soul formation stage. Ishi's eyes lit up with a scorching light as he spoke in a trembling voice. I see, I see. Could this be the legendary soul formation stage, pill spirit domain? This time, it was Lin's turn to be dumbstruck. He didn't have a domain, so he was extremely astonished to hear that someone was able to link the golden baby to a domain. Holy F***ck, there's such an explanation? It does make sense. Senior Ishi, can you explain to me what soul formation stage and pill spirit domain is? Lin asked excitedly. Ishi blinked his large, round eyes in confusion. How would I know? I made it up. Shouldn't Senior Lin explain this to me? Lin's chest constricted. You want me to explain? He looked at the golden baby, who had stopped crying and was sucking on its finger, and a sense of sorrow welled up in his heart. Vice Principal Yuhua didn't know, Soul Beast Clown didn't know. The path that he was walking on was so crooked that even he couldn't understand it, so how the F***ck was he supposed to explain? Chapter 390. Lin heaved a resigned sigh as he held the golden baby in his right hand, completely at a loss for what to do. A moment later, an idea suddenly occurred to him, and he pulled out a roast chicken from his storage ring before instructing the golden baby, hurry up and eat it. The golden baby's body recoiled, and he shut his mouth tightly as he shook his head vigorously. Ishi interjected at this moment. Mr. Lin, what you're doing isn't right. The child is so young, he should be fed milk. Lin rolled his eyes and grumbled, You have milk? I do. Ishi's eyes lit up with excitement as if he were doing something extremely noble. He pulled out a bottle of milk from his storage ring with a solemn expression. This is the celestial cow milk from the farm of the celestial court and was personally nurtured by the bull demon king. It's delicious, pure, and extremely nutritious. He used a spell technique to transform the mouth of the bottle into a pacifier as he spoke. Good boy. Have a sip, it's very delicious. Slurp, slurp, slurp. And Kieran shrieked in fright at the sight of the approaching milk bottle, and he slapped his right hand through the air. Boom. A bolt of golden lightning imbued with monstrous might pierced through the air, annihilating the milk bottle and the milk within it. Even Ishi's hand began to exude bursts of black smoke, and Lin was dumbstruck. When he came to his senses, he immediately rapped Kieran on the head. Don't be rude. Ishi didn't take offense. He looked at his hand, then at Lin, and he took a deep breath before exclaiming in amazement, I'm a return to void stage cultivator, but this baby was able to injure me. To think that a soul formation stage cultivator and a pill spirit cultivator would be this powerful. My horizons have truly been broadened. Ishi became even more determined in his path as he spoke, as if he had found a pillar of support. And Kieran began to bawl again after being rapped on the head by Lin. Lin stared at the golden baby in his hand with a pained expression, and he couldn't stop his tears no matter how hard he tried. Mr. Ishi, please refine another third-grade immortal pill, the heavenly scorching realm pill. He heaved a forlorn sigh. He had no choice but to continue with this experiment. Don't worry, Mr. Lin, leave it to me, Ishi said with an elated expression. Concocting a grade 3 immortal pill was even more exhausting. After 2 whole hours, Ishi finally finished concocting the Thousand Sun World incinerating pill. As soon as the Thousand Sun Realm burning pill appeared, the entire space was suddenly filled with the scene of 10,000 flames burning a world. The pill's energy rippled out for thousands of meters. Ishi unleashed a spell technique to suppress the power of the immortal pill before tossing it toward Lin. Lin looked at the pure gold immortal pill in his hand and took in a deep breath. This was an immortal pill that was worth 800,000 spirit stones. He mustn't let it go to waste just like that. Lin tried to communicate with the golden baby while he was refining the elixir, but the golden baby could only say a few simple words and did not know anything else. Open your mouth, Lin ordered. The golden baby obediently opened his mouth, revealing a row of translucent white teeth and a little golden tongue. A pained expression flashed across Lin's face as he placed the Thousand Sun World incinerating pill into the golden baby's mouth. Gulp! The golden baby casually swallowed the pill into his stomach. Ishi's body trembled violently upon seeing this, and his round body rippled with excitement. This is the pill spirit domain. Ishi clawed at his face with both hands as he yelled with excitement. Ah! I didn't think I would be able to witness such a glorious moment in history. PFFF. Another resounding boom erupted. A round crimson golden immortal pill spat out from the golden baby's bottom and rolled onto the ground. The golden baby sucked on his thumb as he looked at Lin with an innocent expression. Ishi, Lin. Lin silently picked up the Thousand Sun World incinerating pill and murmured to himself, as expected, consuming it directly has no effect. He turned to Kieran and commanded, return to my sea of vital energy first. Kieran blinked blankly as he cocked his little head to the side and babbled as if he couldn't understand what Lin was saying. Lin suddenly thought of something, and he sliced open his finger to release a drop of blood essence. Sure enough, Kieran immediately became excited upon seeing the drop of blood essence, and he swallowed it in one gulp. Mr. Lin, why are you doing this? Ishi asked curiously. It's called Pill Spirit Domain Recovery. Lin couldn't be bothered to explain, and he made up a story along Ishi's lines. Ishi's eyes lit up again as he looked at the golden baby with anticipation in his eyes. Then, the golden baby's eyes widened as he frothed at the mouth, and his stomach began to swell. Bam! The golden baby exploded. Ishi collapsed to the ground with his mouth gaping open in shock. The golden light transformed into energy that surged toward Lin again before fusing into his sea of vital energy and taking shape again. Mr. Lin, are you trying to kill me? She was unable to comprehend what was happening. No, did you really achieve enlightenment? Lin looked at Shi with a profound expression. Shi faltered upon hearing this. He thought back to the baby's bulging body. Wasn't that the same as his? Could it be that the golden baby's explosion signified rebirth? Thank you, Senior Lin, for your guidance. Did Shi achieve enlightenment? Shi bowed his head in excitement. Lin blinked as he exclaimed in his mind, I was just flexing, and you achieved enlightenment? He decided not to think about this anymore. Instead, he placed the Thousand Sun Realm scorching pill in his mouth and prepared to swallow it. However, he suddenly thought back to the scene where the golden baby had pulled out this immortal pill. Lin looked at Shi. Shi, I have a question for you. What is it? Go ahead, Senior Lin. Shi was in the mood for enlightenment, so he was very forthcoming. Lin asked, Can I return this immortal pill? Shi. Lin continued, You can exchange it for another one. Shi finally understood why Lin didn't like this immortal pill. He heaved a resigned sigh. Once sold, no refunds are allowed. We only accept additional cleaning services. Even though the immortal pill wasn't dirty, Lin still insisted on washing it with the Jade Lake holy water from the Celestial Court before swallowing it. The power of this immortal pill was absolutely terrifying, and the energy within it threatened to burst out of his body. Under the effect of the evergreen technique, the flame power within the immortal pill was split into two streams. One stream flowed toward the four divine flames, making the power of the divine flames even more boundless. The other stream flowed toward the sea of vital energy, where the power of the heavenly flames converged to form a flaming disk that illuminated the entire space like a sun. In the next instant, the golden baby's eyes glowed with a golden light, and he devoured the sun above the sea of vital energy with an excited expression. Boom! The space within the sea of vital energy tremored again. Immediately afterward, the insignia of a sun appeared on the golden baby's forehead. At the same time, a number suddenly appeared on his chest. The number jumped from 161 to 182, and 3 Tai Chu characters also appeared, full sun. Lin heaved a sigh of relief upon seeing this, and he began to focus on digesting the power of the pill. Among the 3 powers of sun, moon, and frost, the golden baby's body weight increased slightly by 0.2 after eating the power of the sun and moon, but it only increased by 0.1 after eating the power of frost. This was most likely related to the type of energy rather than the amount. After all, the golden baby wouldn't eat the power of sun, moon, and frost anymore. Perhaps it was a coincidence, but there was only one type of pill left that could form a ball of energy in the sea of vital energy. It was a second-grade immortal pill, the Extreme Soul Pill. At this rate, there was a very good chance that the golden baby's body weight would increase to 2 kilograms after eating this immortal pill, thereby progressing to the soul formation intermediate stage. Chapter 391. Lin repressed the excitement in his heart. Senior Shi, please refine a second-grade immortal pill, the Extreme Soul Pill. Shi was sweating profusely from exhaustion, but he was full of energy. He swallowed a blood spirit pill and nodded. Sure, no problem. However, I still have to tell you that the Extreme Soul Life Extinguishing Pill costs 5.6 million spirit stones. Lin's body swayed upon hearing this. How can it be so expensive? The 3 immortal pills only cost 1.4 million spirit stones in total, but this second-grade immortal pill costs 565 spirit stones. Shi rolled his eyes. The main ingredient for the Extreme Soul Pill is the dark true water herb. There are only 2 of them in the Do Shui Palace, so they're naturally extremely valuable. Furthermore, this immortal pill is at the pinnacle of the second grade, so it's on the same level as the ultimate creation pill. That's why it's so expensive. Never would Lin have thought that there would be an accident at the last step, and the reason was because he had no money. Tycoon Lin couldn't accept this. He originally had 6 million spirit stones in his storage ring, and the 3 immortal pills had cost him 1,400,000 spirit stones. In other words, he only had 4,600,000 spirit stones left, which was 1 million spirit stones short of the 5,600,000 spirit stones required for the immortal pills. Are there no other pills that can generate energy in one's sea of vital energy? Lin asked reluctantly. Ishii shook his head. With my current abilities, I can't find any other pills that can generate energy in one's sea of vital energy. However, I've heard that the holy vermilion flame of the Vermilion Bird sect is able to generate energy in one's sea of vital energy through a certain method. Lin nodded upon hearing this and made a mental note of this. Mr. Lin, are you going to continue to feed immortal pills to the domain-type pill spirit? Ishii's eyes lit up. If you can lend me 1,000,000 spirit stones, I'll consider it. Lin gritted his teeth before replying. In the cultivation world, cultivation base was the most important factor. With strength, it would be easier to earn money. Therefore, Lin would not hesitate to raise his cultivation level. Ishii heaved a forlorn sigh upon hearing Lin's words. Your brother is poor, I still owe someone over 3 million spirit stones. Lin was shocked to hear this. Senior Ishii, you're the leader of the Do Shui Palace, a place that doesn't lack money, yet you're still calling yourself poor? How could he owe others so much money? Ishii puffed out his belly and replied, That's because I've sacrificed too much for my own path. I'll die with no regrets. Lin, speak human language. Ishii replied with a resigned expression, I ate too many spirit pills and immortal pills. Where do you think I got my figure? But for the Tao of alchemy that I pursue, I will not give up on this path. Lin looked at Ishii's round figure and came to his senses. All of this meat was made from spirit pills and immortal pills. How much would that cost? He drew a sharp intake of breath and clasped his hands in farewell. His breakthrough to the soul formation intermediate stage would probably have to be delayed. Lin returned to his dorm room and continued to digest the leftover medicinal effects in his body. He swallowed 3 immortal pills in a row, which were immensely beneficial to his body. The biggest reward was that the divine flame within his body had improved, and the golden baby's weight had increased to 182 kilograms. He was only one step away from completing his mission. U2 was sleeping soundly in a small room, muttering things like, "Potato chips are delicious. I won't have to worry about getting fat anymore." Lin did not disturb U2's rest. Instead, he pondered over how he was going to complete this arduous mission. He was short on money, and the first person he thought of was Lin Junjun. He didn't know if she had any money right now. This method of gaining weight through eating immortal pills was far too distressing. Over 5 million spirit stones was more than the net worth of a return to void stage mighty figure, so Lin was quite reluctant to use this method. The second method was the holy vermilion flame. The holy vermilion flame could form a holy flame within one sea of vital energy, but this holy flame was definitely very important in the sect, and not just anyone could use it. As an outsider, there was a very slim chance that he would be able to use it. Even if he was Su Xiaolan's Dao partner, it was probably unlikely that he would be able to use it. Could he do this through a back door? Lin wasn't sure, so he could only ask Su Xiaolan first. In the evening, after Su Xiaolan's class ended, Lin went to find her. "Xiaolan, tell me about the holy vermilion flame in your sect," Lin said as he ate the food that Su Xiaolan had brought from the cafeteria. Su Xiaolan looked at Lin with a hint of bewilderment in her eyes. "You're finally going to try and get your hands on the holy flame of my sect? You're not going to eat it, are you?" Lin almost choked on his food upon hearing this. Oi, am I that kind of person in your eyes?" Su Xiaolan glared at Lin before speaking with a serious expression. You even dared to eat the 4 divine flames, so it's not impossible for you to eat the holy flame of the Vermilion Bird sect. I'm on good terms with you, but I can't take the side of a tyrant. Lin's lips twitched, and he didn't know how to refute this. All right, I heard that the holy vermilion flame can form a holy flame in a cultivator's sea of vital energy. Is that true? Yes, it's true. I have it in my sea of vital energy, Su Xiaolan replied in a slow voice as she chewed on her food. Lin was instantly excited upon hearing this. Then can I also make the holy vermilion flame form a holy flame in my sea of vital energy? Su Xiaolan looked up at Lin with a serious expression. After a few moments, she replied, First, you have to be a core disciple of the Vermilion Bird sect. Second, you have to pass the trial of the Vermilion Bird trial ground. Third, you have to obtain the approval of the holy vermilion flame. Lin thought about it for a moment. There seemed to be a lot of requirements, so he asked, Can I go through the back door? Su Xiaolan rolled her eyes. Big brother, do you think your family owns the Vermilion Bird sect? Do you think there are so many back doors? Does your family own the Vermilion Bird sect? Lin's eyes lit up with a teasing smile. To his surprise, a hint of dejection flashed across Su Xiaolan's eyes upon hearing this. Lin cursed in his heart. His words seemed to have reminded Su Xiaolan of something bad. Su Xiaolan smiled. How about this? I'm going back to the sect next month. Come with me, I'll ask around for you. There's no need for that, I was just mentioning it in passing, don't take it to heart. Lin didn't want to trouble Su Xiaolan with this matter after seeing her expression flash past his eyes. That's settled then. Let's eat. A faint smile appeared on Su Xiaolan's face as she cut off Lin's words. Aside from the fact that Su Xiaolan's father was a member of the Dragon Tribe and her mother was a member of the Vermilion Bird sect, Lin didn't know anything else. He wasn't going to ask about it, and Su Xiaolan hadn't mentioned it either. Xiaolan, tomorrow is the free-for-all battle. What place do you plan to get? I don't have any goals. Top 10 is enough. Then you really don't have any goals. With your strength, you should at least be in the top 5. We'll see. I'm not like you. You've already secured first place. Please go easy on me, Earth Immortal and Lin. No problem. I only bully others, not you. Chapter 392. The annual free-for-all battle was about to begin, and you two temporarily returned to the Moon Palace to show Chang'e the results of her weight loss. Tens of thousands of students were gathered on the White Jade Square. This opening ceremony was still hosted by Vice Principal Yuhua, and the principal did not appear even once. Lin felt that he might not be able to see the principal for the next 5 years. In the school's Hall of Fame, the principal's portrait looked like an elegant and cultured person, but he didn't know what he was like in person. He looked at the youthful students in the square and felt a little emotional. Back when he was a freshman, it was extremely difficult for him to get into the top 100 of the Immortal Rankings board. Now that he was in his 3rd year of university, he was aiming for the top spot on the Immortal Rankings board. Unknowingly, he already had the feeling that he was at the peak. Being invincible is so lonely. Soon, a huge teleportation formation began to take shape. Close to 50,000 students were teleported to the Forest of 1,000 Peaks at the same time, and the next free-for-all battle began. Lin looked up at the sky, where there was a faint barrier of light. He could even feel the aura of the teacher in charge of the combat strength assessment nearby. When he was at the spirit nurturing stage last year, he couldn't sense his teacher's presence. Once he reached the deity severing stage, his divine sense would become extremely powerful. From the flow of heaven and earth essence chi to the microorganisms on a withered leaf, he would be able to observe everything with his divine sense. Lin chuckled, clenched his fists and said, Trash, now I'll let you experience the fear of being dominated by me, Lin. Ding dong. At this moment, the system beeped at an untimely time. And Lin was stunned. He turned his attention to the system and saw that the special mission was flashing non-stop. He opened the special quest tab, and a series of words appeared in his mind. Detected that the host has entered the forest of 1,000 peaks. Now assigning the mission Be Low-Key, I'll help you become immortal. Mission details. Keep a low profile, drop out of the top 100 of the Immortal Rankings board, and help Su Xiaolan become number 1. Mission success. 1 chance to draw a magic treasure. Mission failure. Eunuch for 3 years. Note: this quest cannot be declined. And Lin almost fainted when he saw the penalty for failing the mission. What did being a eunuch for 3 years mean? Could it grow back after 3 years of being eunuchs? No, that was not the point. The point was that the system was becoming more and more shameless. How good was impotence? Why did he have to be a eunuch? And Lin gritted his teeth at the sight of the flirtatious system. He wished he could smash it. I've finally advanced to the soul formation stage, and it's time for me to act cool, yet you're talking to me about keeping a low profile? Low profile, your sister? Ah. It was An Lin Sr. First year class 5, Yang Wei, please enlighten me. A tall and thin man in a green robe appeared in front of An Lin and bowed with a fanatical expression. In his eyes, it was an honor to be able to exchange blows with a legendary figure. An Lin's balls were aching at the sight of him. Impotence? Please enlighten me? I'll teach your sister's impotence. I don't have any knowledge about impotence. Did the heavens send you here to deal with me? And Lin suddenly recalled the system's special mission. The mission stated that he couldn't rank within the top 100 on the Immortal Rankings board, so his combat capability and achievement points had to be kept within a certain range. He had to use them in critical situations and avoid meaningless battles. Yang Wei faltered slightly at the lack of response from An Lin. He thought that An Lin hadn't heard him clearly, so he issued another challenge. Senior An Lin, I am first year class 5, Yang Wei. Please enlighten me. An Lin shook his head. I'm not An Lin. You've got the wrong person. He rose into the air atop his brick as he spoke, sweeping up a cloud of dust and debris in his wake. Yang Wei. He stared at the figure disappearing into the clouds with a dumbstruck expression. He's got the wrong person? Who are you trying to fool? He worshipped Senior An Lin's portrait every day, so how could he forget An Lin's face? Furthermore, aside from Senior An Lin, what kind of weirdo would fly atop a black brick? Yang Wei seemed to have realized something, and his body swayed slightly as a dejected expression appeared on his face. Could it be that I don't even have the right to challenge Senior An Lin? At the same time, An Lin was flying through the air atop his brick. The only thing on his mind right now was the system's mission. It would be easy for him to drop out of the top 100 as long as he didn't get into a fight. However, at the same time, he had to complete the mission to help Su Xiaolan rank first on the Immortal Rankings board. In terms of power, it was not an issue for Su Xiaolan to rank within the top 5 on the Immortal Rankings board. However, if she wanted to rank first on the Immortal Rankings board, she would have to face several competitors, and An Lin just so happened to know most of them. Lu Qianhuan, Xianyuan Cheng, Su Qianyun, Tang Shimin, and Zhuo Qiubing. It could be said that all 5 of them could pose a threat to Su Xiaolan, and there was no need to even mention the first 4. The last one was Zhuo Qiubing, who was in the same cohort as Lu Qianhuan. He was overshadowed by Lu Qianhuan's dazzling performance, but he was still a seasoned veteran. Apparently, he had attained his own lightning domain after observing the Golden Void lightning Kirin on the day of An Lin's Tribulation Transcendence, thereby making him the second half-step soul formation stage cultivator in the entire university. This was quite a sensational event, but it was a pity that all the students and teachers were talking about An Lin, so his brilliance was overshadowed again. An Lin thought about it for a moment before deciding to list him as the second most dangerous person. The most dangerous person was naturally Lu Qianhuan. If she used her sword, Su Xiaolan had a very slim chance of winning. After a short while, the sound of spell techniques exploding erupted from the ground again. Lin looked down to discover that it was a battle between two students of the Dao Body stage. A male student of the 9th stage Dao Body was actually able to defeat a male student of the 10th stage Dao Body. This reminded him of the free-for-all battle he had participated in for the first time. At that time, he had also valiantly defeated opponents of a higher rank than him. The male student of the 9th stage Dao Body had won by a hair's breadth. His body was already riddled with injuries, and his aura was also extremely weak. Lin was indescribably excited upon seeing this, and a golden light burst forth from his fist. In the end, Lin still forced himself to stop. His expression became tranquil again as he shook his head and sighed. The current me will no longer take advantage of others when they're down and resort to unscrupulous means to achieve my goals. Perhaps this is what it means to grow. I can't expose my strength, and I have to avoid earning achievement points as much as possible. He glanced at the students on the ground before flying away on his brick and searching around the forest of 1,000 peaks. The forest of 1,000 peaks was extremely large. Even though one could fly, it was still extremely difficult to find someone. Only when the enchantment barrier of the Immortal Rankings board shrank on the 3rd day would it truly become a fierce battle between the powerful beings on the Immortal Rankings board. In the vast forest, Lin continued to search for his target as he prayed incessantly in his heart for Su Xiaolan to give it her all and hold on until the end. If anything were to happen to her, then he wouldn't be able to live anymore. Chapter 393. Lin flew through the air atop his black brick and witnessed countless battles taking place. Suppressing his desire to fight, he continued to search for traces of his targets. During this time, Lin encountered a few spirit-nurturing stage students who were using sword kinesis flight. They all tactfully avoided Lin after seeing him. Although it was very thrilling to battle a soul formation stage senior, they still wanted to earn some achievement points first in order to secure a good ranking. If they encountered each other on the last day, these spirit-nurturing stage students would definitely pounce on him without hesitation. Boom! An earth-shattering boom suddenly erupted in the distance. Lin's expression became serious as he immediately changed directions and flew toward the northeast. Another black sword light soared into the sky, directly slicing apart a nearby mountain. This was a battle between two spirit-nurturing stage cultivators. Lin flew over on his brick and saw Yao Mingxi and Tang Shimin engaged in battle. He was a little surprised. Battles between spirit-nurturing stage cultivators usually wouldn't erupt so early in the competition. The first day was the time to earn achievement points, so why were they fighting now? Tang Shimin was one of the most powerful cultivators on the Immortal Rankings board after all, and he was able to completely suppress Yao Mingxi with his extraordinary sword technique. However, Yao Mingxi was fearless. Even though he was already injured, his sword techniques were becoming more and more powerful. Senior Tang, this next technique was invented by my little sister. I'll use it to pay you back. Yao Mingxi suddenly stepped back and a black aura burst forth from his divine weapon, Dark Flash Sword, as if a true demon were roaring. Ha ha! Bring it on, I'll send you two to the plaza. Tang Shimin laughed heartily as a crimson glow surged from his longsword. Lin finally had a rough idea of what was going on. Yao Xiao had just progressed to the spirit-nurturing stage, and was then bullied by Tang Shimin. Yao Mingxi just so happened to be nearby, so the two of them began to fight. Song of Wind, Demon Sealing Tune. Yao Mingxi's sword fell, and gale force winds suddenly erupted around him. A black sword projection crashed down upon Tang Shimin like flowing water. Within this black water sword projection, there was an extremely powerful golden light imbued with the intent of sealing. Bring it on! Tang Shimin roared as he slashed his sword toward the black water sword projection. A crimson sword projection pierced through the sky. Rumble! two terrifying sword lights collided, shattering the space within a radius of several dozen feet. In the end, it was Tang Shimen's technique that came out on top. The crimson light shattered the black water sword projection, and even the golden light within it was pulverized. Yao Mingxi was struck by the sword light and suffered a heavy blow to his body, causing him to vomit blood and tumble to the ground. Tang Shimen took this opportunity to pounce toward Yao Mingxi again. Lin watched with great interest. At this time, another powerful aura approached from behind. Yo! Lin, are you preparing to deal the finishing blow again? A clear and melodious voice rang out, carrying a hint of ridicule. Lin looked behind him to discover an extremely beautiful woman flying toward him atop a six-feathered staff. Lin panicked. He hadn't even thought of a way to deal with Tang Shimen when Lu Qianhuan, his number one most dangerous target, appeared here. This made the situation even more complicated. Do you think a prodigy like me would deal the finishing blow? Lin forced himself to calm down as he replied in a righteous manner. Haha, aren't you ashamed to say something like that from the mouth of a killing machine? Lu Qianhuan smiled like a blossoming flower as she looked down at the battle below with interest. Lin heaved a sigh of relief upon seeing that Lu Qianhuan had no intention of fighting him. A thought then occurred to him, and he said, Lu Qianhuan, how about I leave this Tang Shimen to you to finish off? Lu Qianhuan faltered slightly upon hearing this before looking at Lin suspiciously. I don't want to. Lin blinked in confusion. Why? I'm offering this to you, and you're still refusing? Hee, I'm not an idiot. You're the most dangerous person here. If I expend too much energy to deal with Tang Shimen, wouldn't you be the one to reap the benefits? Lu Qianhuan looked at Lin as if she had seen through everything. Lin was dumbstruck by her words. Lu Qianhuan continued, I'm still waiting for you to battle Tang Shimen, then I'll find a chance to eliminate you. Lin was very tired, but he didn't know what to do. He looked down at Yao Mingxi to find that his defeat judgment seal had already been knocked out by Tang Shimen. If things continued like this, Tang Shimen was going to get away. Lin gritted his teeth. Kill Tang Shimen for me, and I'll play games with you for the entire day. Lu Qianhuan's purple eyes flashed before she asked with uncertainty, Are you crazy? What benefit would I get from killing Tang Shimen? Could it be that you really want to take advantage of my weakness to finish me off? Lin looked at Lu Qianhuan with a serious expression. Do I look like the type of person who would finish you off? Where's our friendship? I just want to find an excuse to play games with you. Lu Qianhuan muttered under her breath, Are you trying to trick a child? She turned her head away, but a faint blush appeared on her snowy cheeks. Tang Shimen's sleeves had already been shredded by Yao Xiu and Yao Mingxi's battles, and his entire right arm was stained with blood. There was even a sword wound on his abdomen, but these injuries didn't affect him much. The only thing that surprised him was that he seemed to have expended a lot of vital energy. 5th year Class 5, Lu Qianhuan, please enlighten me. A girl with short pink hair descended from the sky atop a six-feathered staff, and her clear voice caused Tang Shimen's body to tremble in fear. Tang Shimen looked at Lu Qianhuan, who was surging with battle intent, before turning to look at Lin in the sky with a bitter expression. Lu Qianhuan, why are you bullying me? How can this be called bullying, junior student Tang? The free-for-all battle is all about freedom. You can fight if you want and land the killing blow if you want. That's freedom. Lu Qianhuan raised her head with a smile. That last sentence is the main point. Tang Shimen's lips twitched. Cut the crap. Seeing as we've fought together in the past, I won't use my sword. Lu Qianhuan's staff was already glowing with a white light. Tang Shimen heaved a forlorn sigh as he unsheathed his sword. A red light tore through the earth as he instantly slashed toward Lu Qianhuan. Lu Qianhuan's body suddenly transformed into white mist before drifting to the side to evade the sword strike. Then, she quickly materialized again before hurling a white ball of light from her staff. Tang Shimen immediately retreated upon seeing this. Boom! The ball of light exploded, sending a cloud of dust and smoke into the air. Tang Shimin used his senses to unleash a dozen or so sword strikes in the air. Crimson flaming sword projections imbued with peerless power tore through the dust and created a series of trenches in the ground. The dust and smoke dispersed, but Lu Qianhuan's figure was nowhere to be seen. All of a sudden, the hair on Tang Shimin's body stood on end, and he turned around without hesitation before raising his longsword in front of him. A pink pillar of energy suddenly crashed into Tang Shimin's longsword like a laser cannon. A powerful explosion erupted, pulverizing everything within a radius of over 1,000 feet. In the sky above, Anlin sat on a brick and looked down at the battle on the ground with an indifferent expression. Lu Qianhuan's mist immortal technique was even better than his, and she was extremely elusive. Tang Shimin's vital energy had been completely depleted, so he probably didn't even have the ability to harm Lu Qianhuan. The battle was still ongoing, but it was already clear that Tang Shimin was losing. Finally, after unleashing an extremely terrifying crimson sword strike to wound Lu Qianhuan's arm, he was struck by the final spark again, and he fell feebly to the ground. Lu Qianhuan rose onto her staff again before arriving before Anlin. Anlin's brows furrowed slightly at the sight of the wound on her arm. "Are you all right? If I told you that I was severely injured, would you take the opportunity to attack me?" Lu Qianhuan chuckled. Anlin rolled his eyes. "Am I that kind of person? Stop wasting time and go play some games." "Where are we going?" Lu Qianhuan asked. "Same old place, Black Rock Peak." Chapter 394. On the White Stone Plaza, Yao Mingxi was bandaging Yao Xiu's wounds. There was an extremely deep sword wound on Yao Xiu's body, and half of her green dress had been stained red. She looked at the man in front of her with a guilty expression. "I'm sorry, big brother. It's all my fault for being so useless and dragging you down." "What's the point of saying that? It's all our fault. Senior Tang Shimin is the #1 cultivator in the 4th year, and he's also one of the top few cultivators on the Immortal Rankings board. He'll definitely be able to last until the last day, so it's not a shame that we lost to him," Yao Mingxi said lightly as he bandaged his wounds. Right at this moment, a golden light appeared in the air. Tang Shimin's body landed beside Yao Mingxi. His chest had already been charred black, and he looked extremely pitiful. Yao Mingxi and Yao Xiu looked to their side, and they both faltered. The three of them stared at one another in silence, and the atmosphere was quite peculiar. "Ha ha! Big brother, Senior Tang is so pitiful." Yao Xiu laughed hysterically, and she accidentally pulled on her wounds, causing her to grimace in pain. Yao Mingxi couldn't help but laugh as well. "I just said that Senior Tang would be able to last until the end, and now you're here to slap me in the face?" Tang Shimin chuckled. Sometimes, fate is fickle. The three of them who were engaged in a gruesome battle all laughed heartily as they reminisced about the past, as if they were good friends. Within the forest of 1,000 Peak, Anlin and Lu Qianhuan found the Black Stone Peak and started playing League of Valleys. This was another painful story of being abused, but it was better not to talk about it for now. He could only stall this dangerous enemy for now while he slowly thought about how to help Su Xiaolan. The greatest fear of humans came from the unknown. Anlin didn't know what kind of enemies Su Xiaolan would encounter next, and he didn't know if Su Xiaolan would be able to last until tomorrow. What if his D*CK suddenly disappeared while he was playing League of Valleys? Just as Anlin was in a daze, his swift-wind sword hero was crushed to death by the great heart meteor summoned by the fox. Crisp cheers erupted once again. The next day, after playing League of Valor for an entire night, the two yawned. Anlin looked at the woman who was bathed in the morning light. Her skin was especially fair and dazzling. He smiled and said, "All right, I've fulfilled my promise." Lu Qianhuan nodded. "You're a man of your word. Our revolutionary friendship still exists." Anlin thought about it and asked tentatively, "Then I want to make a deal with you. You help me kill a few people, and I'll play games with you for a day. How about that?" Lu Qianhuan was a little perplexed. Who can beat you? Why do you need my help? I'm just trying to keep a low profile. You know that I don't like to show off. And Lin said seriously. Lu Qianhuan rolled her eyes. Can you stop spouting nonsense? Speaking of which, what are you trying to do? Why are you acting so mysterious? It can't be that you're using this as an excuse to play with me. In the past, you wouldn't play with me even when I gave you spirit stones. And Lin hesitated for a moment before looking at Lu Qianhuan. He could see the inquiry and anticipation in her purple eyes. I want Su Xiaolan to become #1 on the Immortal Rankings board, but I can't. And Lin took a deep breath and decided to tell Lu Qianhuan the truth. Lu Qianhuan was momentarily dazed upon hearing this answer. Then, a smile appeared on her face. What a strange answer, but it sounds like the truth. If that's the case, then I'll be the biggest obstacle in your path. There were still a few strands of hair hanging from her earlobe, and she tucked them behind her ear. She stared at the man before her with her purple eyes. Why did you tell me this? It won't do you any good, will it? Because we're friends. I don't want to lie to you or use you, so I'll just tell you the truth. And Lin revealed his thoughts. A ripple appeared in Lu Qianhuan's eyes, and a slight smile appeared on her face. You don't think of me as a fool. Instead, you think of me as a friend. Then I'll help you as a friend. Really? And Lin almost jumped with excitement upon hearing this. Lu Qianhuan replied, Of course I'm not lying to you. Now that I think about it, what you're doing is actually quite fun. You think it's fun? This is something that concerns the happiness of the rest of my life, so I can't afford to be careless. And Lin replied solemnly. Happiness of the rest of your life? You want to use this opportunity to woo Su Xiaolan? Lu Qianhuan was astonished. What are you talking about? And Lin panicked. It has nothing to do with that, it's something else. Lu Qianhuan tapped her forehead with her index finger. Something else? Could it be that the happiness of the rest of your life has something to do with your manhood? Is your manhood done for? And Lin's body swayed and he took a deep breath. Holy F***ck, how did she even manage to guess this? This has something to do with Su Xiaolan, so why don't we name this mission Help You Become an Immortal, Return My Manhood mission? Lu Qianhuan suggested. And Lin. He repressed the urge to throw up blood as he discussed their next plan with Lu Qianhuan. Lu Qianhuan's power had to be suppressed to the point where she didn't need to use her sword in order to prevent her combat capability rating from being higher than Su Xiaolan's. As for achievement points, she would be able to fight bosses instead of normal monsters. That way, her achievement points would still be within a manageable range. Next up was a very practical problem. Could Lu Qianhuan really defeat Xianyuan Cheng, Su Qianyun, and Zhuo Qiubing without using her sword? Perhaps she could land a killing blow, but in a fair and square battle, she would definitely lose more than she won. I can actually defeat Zhuo Qiubing with my full power before being defeated by Su Xiaolan. Even though Su Xiaolan's combat capability is inferior to mine, her achievement points are much higher than mine, so there's a very good chance that she'll be ranked #1 on the Immortal Rankings board. Lu Qianhuan replied. And Lin nodded with a conflicted expression. You can indeed fight seriously once before being defeated by Su Xiaolan again. However, this has nothing to do with you in the first place. I'm really sorry that you're going to die here. Lu Qianhuan patted An Lin's shoulder with a wide grin. I have no choice. For the sake of my friend's happiness, I have to make a sacrifice as well. An Lin was extremely touched as he looked at Lu Qianhuan. He pulled out half a mooncake from his storage ring. This is a mooncake Chang Yi gave me. I've eaten half of it, so you can have the other half. Thank you for your help, senior sister. As soon as the mooncake appeared, a faint moonlight, accompanied by the refreshing fragrance of osmanthus, reverberated throughout Black Rock Peak. Lu Qianhuan took a deep breath before exclaiming in surprise, This is a real F***king mooncake. Not bad, An Lin. You have the connections and you're a loyal friend. You're willing to split the mooncake in half. Lin waved a hand with a modest expression. It's just a small matter. Lu Qianhuan accepted the mooncake before looking up at Lin with a gentle expression in her purple eyes. Do you want more? How about I give you another half? There's no need, I've already eaten half of it. This half is for you. Lin shook his head with a resolute expression. Ever since he had given the mooncake to Yi Shi, he had already intended to give this half to Lu Qianhuan. Now was the perfect opportunity to give it to her. On the summit of the black rock peak, the two of them looked up at the land that was gradually being draped in golden light. Lu Qianhuan took small bites of the mooncake as she praised its deliciousness. The sun gradually rose into the sky, and the two of them finally began their alliance. Chapter 395. Lin and Lu Qianhuan began to search for their targets in the forest of 1,000 Peak. The teachers in charge of assessing the combat strength found that the two of them had no intention of participating in the battle. Instead, they seemed to be searching for something. Lin and Lu Qianhuan didn't break the free-for-all battle rule, so even though the teachers were puzzled and perplexed, they didn't stop them. Before they knew it, the two of them had already flown for close to 8 hours. They had searched almost the entire eastern side of the forest of 1,000 peaks, but they still couldn't find their 4 targets. We're so unlucky. Su Xiaolan, Xianyuan Qing, Su Qianyun, and Zhuo Qiubing are nowhere to be seen, Lu Qianhuan said in exasperation. This means that there's a greater chance that they'll meet in the other direction. We have to hurry. Lin was a little annoyed. No one could remain calm and collected in the face of the threat of becoming a eunuch. Just like that, they searched the southern side of the forest of 1,000 peaks again. Lin couldn't help but sigh with emotion as he watched Lu Debao exchange blows with a student of the 10th stage Dao body. Thinking back, Lu Debao had come here for others to farm points for. Now, he could farm points for others as well. Lu Debao's divine sun technique imbued every punch and kick with the pure power of the sun. As for the other ice-type spell technique student, he could only rely on his nimble maneuvering techniques to fight back. In the end, the ice-type student was still defeated by Lu Debao's iron fists. After watching this battle, Lin continued his search. This time, they arrived at the western side of the forest of 1,000 Peak. Night gradually fell. In order to make the most of their time, the two of them swallowed a fasting pill and continued their search without resting. Battles were still ongoing on the ground, and the booming sounds of spell techniques pierced through the silent night from time to time. Lin suddenly felt a subtle fluctuation of vital energy as he flew east. He immediately turned and flew toward a mountain peak in the distance. That feeling became more and more intense, and there were thunderous sounds that sounded like the roars of ancient beasts. Finally, after advancing for several kilometers, they saw an extremely huge black cyclone appear in the sky. There were faint flashes of lightning, and it contained powerful energy. The two of them landed on the ground and slowly approached the place where the battle was taking place. Boom! Another deafening sound rang out, and the center of the battle suddenly exploded with lightning. The two figures retreated at the same time. Lin's heart jolted when he saw the figures in battle, and he almost charged out, but Lu Qianhuan held him back with a firm grip. Calm down, Lu Qianhuan urged solemnly. Lin's veins bulged as he stared at the figure in battle. The fury in his eyes was not concealed at all. The people who were fighting were Su Xiaolan and Zhuo Qiubing. Su Xiaolan's jade barley ink garment was already stained with blood, and there were ghastly gashes on her abdomen and arms. However, her expression was extremely calm as she stared at the man before her with a cold expression. A suit of lightning had appeared over Zhuo Qiubing's body, and he was also a little disheveled, but his injuries were not as severe as Su Xiaolan's. The area within a radius of 50 feet around him had been enshrouded by a blue lightning domain, and there was a massive lightning kirin over 10 meters tall behind him with a frosty light emanating from its eyes. The two of them took a step forward and collided again. Su Xiaolan wielded her dragon sparrow sword, which was imbued with the power to slice through all things. Zhuo Qiubing's main method of attack was to control the lightning Kirin to attack, and he was completely unfazed by Su Xiaolan's sword strikes. You stay here, I'll sneak up on them. And Lin felt like he couldn't just sit around and do nothing. He still had a ball of rage that he had yet to vent, so he immediately made a decision. You're crazy. Our teachers are watching from above. If you interfere in their battle or try anything funny, you'll be kicked out of this restricted area. Lu Qianhuan tried to dissuade him. I have a way, Lin replied. Immediately afterward, his body slowly faded into the darkness, and even his aura began to disappear. This was the Yin Mo's inheritance, shadow manifestation, and Lin was only at the soul formation stage, so even his teachers wouldn't be able to detect his presence in this dark environment. Lu Qianhuan's mouth gaped open in shock. She didn't think that Lin would be able to disappear right before her eyes, and she couldn't even detect his aura. Above the enchantment barrier in the sky, Earth Immortal Wu Tong was watching the battle between Su Xiaolan and Zhuo Qiubing with keen interest, completely oblivious to the changes taking place outside of the battlefield. Lin slowly approached and arrived behind a boulder within 1,000 feet of them. Flames of rage flared up in his heart at the sight of the injuries on Su Xiaolan's body. Even though he knew that injuries were a very common occurrence in a free-for-all battle, he still couldn't help but be enraged at the sight of Su Xiaolan being beaten to such a sorry state. Boom! Su Xiaolan's lightning fire sword projection sliced the oncoming lightning Kirin in half. Zhuo Qiubing stumbled back a few steps, and the lightning in his domain suddenly became several times more concentrated, forming the lightning Kirin again. Give up, Su Xiaolan. You've defeated Su Qianyun, which is enough for you to enter the top 5 of the Immortal Rankings board and make a name for yourself in the Celestial Court. You've already fought 2 battles in a row, so your vital energy must be completely depleted. If you continue to fight me like this, you'll only be in more pain. What else can you achieve? Zhuo Qiubing spoke in a cold voice. Su Xiaolan wielded her long sword, and her lithe and graceful body was enshrouded in golden flames. Her aura began to soar explosively, and her eyes turned golden as an intimidating dragon might exuded from her body. You challenged me while I was at my weakest, and now you're telling me to surrender? Do you really think I'm a pushover? I won't back down from this battle. Su Xiaolan's voice was cold, but it was tinged with an indescribable sense of determination. Lin faltered upon hearing this before becoming even more enraged. So Su Xiaolan had already defeated Su Qianyun, and Zhuo Qiubing was here to King land the killing blow on her. Holy CK, how could I tolerate this? Zhuo Qiubing was going to King land the killing blow on my CK? This is how the free-for-all battle is supposed to be. No one cares if you're exhausted or not. Zhuo Qiubing's expression remained unchanged as he made his way towards Su Xiaolan. The lightning Kirin behind him grew more and more fearsome, and its body expanded from over 30 feet to over 50 feet. The lightning power imbued within its body was also several times more powerful than before. Lin heard these familiar words coming from both Lu Qianhuan and Zhuo Qiubing's mouths, but why did they feel so different to him? Zhuo Qiubing crossed his arms as white lightning burst forth from his eyes. Lightning danced violently within his domain, and the sound of crackling booms could be heard for several kilometers. I attained my domain from observing Lin's tribulation transcendence, and my self-invented Kirin technique was also derived from the enlightenment I attained that day. My spell technique is imbued with the might of heaven and earth, so be careful, Su Xiaolan. Su Xiaolan thought back to Lin's tribulation transcendence, and she raised her head like a proud phoenix with a faint smile. Your Kirin technique isn't all that impressive either. It's far inferior compared to him. Lin was a little happy to hear Su Xiaolan's words. As expected, it was the most satisfying to hear someone compliment him behind his back. It was so genuine. However, he quickly came to his senses. He was about to become a eunuch, so he couldn't let his joy turn to sorrow. Zhuqiubing's expression darkened, and he waved a hand through the air. The lightning Kirin behind him roared as it pounced toward Su Xiaolan with the terrifying might of heaven and earth. Su Xiaolan's expression was completely fearless as her dragon sparrow sword pierced through the air. A sword projection of over 1,000 feet in length lit up the entire sky as it hurtled toward the lightning Kirin. Chapter 396. Above the enchantment barrier, Earth Immortal Wu Tong heaved a faint sigh as he held a pen in his hand. Looks like this battle is about to end. The lightning Kirin is even more powerful than that sword projection. It's a pity that the technique that Su Xiaolan used against Su Qianyun can only be used once in a short period of time. Otherwise, she would still have a chance to defeat Zhuqiubing. On the ground below, the sword projection over 1,000 feet tall instantly split open the earth before hurtling toward the gargantuan lightning Kirin with unstoppable force. A faint smile appeared on Zhuqiubing's face. He knew that this battle was about to end and victory was his. Su Xiaolan's features were deathly pale, but her expression was extremely proud. She was not going to bow her head even in the final moment. In the instant that the sword projection came into contact with the lightning Kirin suddenly turned tail and fled as if it had encountered something extremely terrifying. Su Xiaolan was dumbstruck. Zhuqiubing was also dumbstruck. The lightning Kirin was being chased by the lightning flame sword projection before pouncing towards Zhuqiubing. Stop! We're on the same side. Zhuqiubing unleashed the power of his domain in an attempt to control the lightning Kirin. At the same time, there was a hint of fear in his voice. The lightning Kirin did not stop. It crashed through Zhuqiubing's domain before shattering his lightning armor. Immediately afterward, the sword projection imbued with the might of a dragon and a phoenix crashed into Zhuqiubing's body with unparalleled force. Boom! Flames soared into the sky as lightning roared like a massive ancient dragon. Zhuqiubing's entire body was enshrouded in a golden light as he flew into the sky before crashing heavily to the ground. His defeat judgment seal had already been activated, and he looked around at his surroundings with a blank expression on his face. Why would my lightning Kirin be afraid of your sword projection? Su Xiaolan slowly made her way towards Zhuqiubing as she looked around, but she didn't see anyone else. However, she was far too familiar with this power. Perhaps it's because true dragons and phoenixes are of a higher status than Kirins? She asked with a smile. **T. Did you see that golden void lightning Kirin? How could it possibly be afraid of dragons and phoenixes? Zhuqiubing gritted his teeth. But your Kirin isn't a golden void lightning Kirin. Even if it was a golden void lightning Kirin, it would still behave like a puppy in front of Enlin. It would do whatever he tells it to do. Is it that powerful? Su Xiaolan shook her head with a smile. Zhuqiubing's chest felt heavy when he heard this, and he spat out another mouthful of blood. In the end, he transformed into a ray of golden light with extreme unwillingness and vanished from the world. When Su Xiaolan saw this scene, she finally heaved a sigh of relief. Her body swayed slightly, as if she was about to collapse from exhaustion. At this moment, in a certain part of the void not far away, there was a faint ripple, but it soon calmed down. She looked around again to find a sea of stars and a bright moon hanging high in the sky. Under the moonlight there was no one to be seen. So be it. Perhaps this is heaven's will. Zhuqiubing clearly attained the power of the Kirin because of Enlin, but he used that power against his good friend. He deserves to suffer a spell technique backlash. Su Xiaolan shook her head with a smile before sitting down to meditate and recover from her injuries. Enlin nodded with elation. Using lightning to bully Su Xiaolan? Wasn't that courting death? His lightning manipulation technique could even control the golden void lightning Kirin, so how could he not control that little Kirin of yours? Just as Enlin was thinking this, Earth Immortal Wu Tong was staring at Su Xiaolan with a dumbstruck expression. What was going on? Did he miss something? Earth Immortal Wu Tong carefully recalled the scenes of that battle, but he still couldn't understand why the lightning Kirin had suddenly turned tail and fled. Could it really have been scared away by Su Xiaolan's domineering aura? He suddenly remembered that stormy day, where there was a fierce man who caused an even more bizarre scene than this. Could it be classmate Enlin? Wait, I don't see Enlin anywhere. He looked carefully at the plants down below before discovering a woman 1.5 kilometers away. She was leaning against a rock and playing with her phone. It was none other than Lu Qianhuan. It can't be Lu Qianhuan. Enlin must have taught Su Xiaolan some kind of lightning manipulation mystic technique. Sigh, students these days are becoming more and more freakish. Earth Immortal Wu Tong heaved a faint sigh as he began to jot down some numbers. Su Xiaolan. Combat Capability 1050. Achievement Score 920. He then glanced at the data of the number 1 seed, Lu Qianhuan, who was fighting for second place on the Immortal Rankings board. Apparently, she hadn't battled since then. Lu Qianhuan. Combat Capability 860. Achievement Score 380. Classmate Lu Qianhuan knew that classmate Su Xiaolan was injured and exhausted, yet she didn't take advantage of her. Instead, she chose to play games off to the side and silently wait for her opponent to recover from her injuries before fighting her head-on. She's a model student for all students. Earth Immortal Wu Tong nodded in praise. Enlin hesitated momentarily as he looked at the woman meditating under the moonlight. In the end, he still slowly moved toward Lu Qianhuan. Even though his sea of vital energy was almost twice as large as a normal soul formation stage cultivator's, he still couldn't keep up with this constant depletion of vital energy. Lu Qianhuan was just playing her game excitedly when a gust of cold wind suddenly blew past her ear, causing her body to tremble. Who's there? Her eyes widened as she looked to her left, but she couldn't see anyone. At this moment, she was tapped on her right shoulder. She couldn't help but look to her right, but a human face suddenly appeared on her left. Ah! Lu Qianhuan screamed as she slapped toward that person's face. Slap! The person was sent flying by the slap. Boom! The person crashed into a boulder, and the entire boulder was pulverized. 1.5 kilometers away, Su Xiaolan opened her eyes and looked toward the direction where the sound had come from. Her brows furrowed slightly. She felt like she had heard that voice somewhere before. Holy F***ck. I was just pranking you. Are you trying to F***king kill me? Enlin rubbed his red and swollen face as he glared at Lu Qianhuan. If he were still at the spirit-nurturing stage, his handsome face would definitely be disfigured. Lu Qianhuan couldn't help but snort upon seeing that it was Enlin. Who told you to scare me? Serves you right. Enlin heaved a forlorn sigh. On Earth, if a man pranked a girl, the girl would definitely respond with, wah wah wah, and you're so naughty. At most, the girl would just hammer him in the chest. But his prank here was greeted with a slap that was as heavy as 1,000 caddies. The morals of the world were degenerating with each passing day. Above the enchantment barrier, Earth Immortal Wu Tong also seemed to have heard a voice. He looked toward that direction and suddenly discovered a second person. That's classmate Enlin, right? Are Enlin and Lu Qianhuan going to fight? No, they don't seem to be fighting. Instead, they're chatting. That's strange. Why couldn't I detect his presence with my divine sense earlier? When did he get here? Earth Immortal Wu Tong's brows furrowed in bewilderment. So be it. Perhaps it's because I haven't had enough rest recently, so my mind is a little muddled. That must be it. At this moment, Enlin and Lu Qianhuan were using telescopic immortal techniques to peek at Su Xiaolan. What do we do now? Lu Qianhuan asked softly. Enlin thought for a moment before replying. Big Brother Qing is our only remaining threat. Why don't we follow Su Xiaolan and wait for her to encounter Big Brother Qing? Then, we'll rush up and kill Big Brother Qing, then challenge Su Xiaolan to a battle. Lu Qianhuan nodded. No problem, let's do that. How exciting! No one would have thought that Su Xiaolan would be the one to clinch the top spot on the Immortal Rankings board. If I had known this would happen, I would have gone to the university's gambling den to place a bet. There was a hint of disappointment on her face, but she quickly returned to her work and continued to secretly observe Su Xiaolan with Enlin. Chapter 397. The third day of the free-for-all battle was also the last day. The enchantment barrier around the forest of 1,000 peaks began to shrink. In the end, it would shrink to a size of a few kilometers in radius. Over 99% of the students had already been eliminated. They all sat on the white jade plaza, treating their injuries as they silently stared at the inky black crystal screen. When there are only 200 students left, the crystal screen will be broadcasting the battle in real time. I'm really looking forward to seeing senior student Enlin's heroic performance. This year's free-for-all battle has been particularly intense. Over half of the top powerful beings on the Immortal Rankings board have been eliminated in the past 2 days. Normally, people of their caliber would only start fighting on the last day. Who would have thought that they would be eliminated so soon? I know, right? It's no surprise that Yao Mingxi, Yao Xiu, and Luo Ziping have met with mishaps. However, Su Qianyun, Tang Shimin, and Zhuo Qiubing are all top 10 powerful beings on the Immortal Rankings board. It's incredible that they've been eliminated so early. It's most likely senior student Enlin's doing. It's very likely that student Enlin's doing. Just as all the students were discussing spiritedly among themselves, the crystal screen suddenly lit up. The cheers of the students instantly spread throughout the entire plaza. After waiting for so long, they finally had a chance to watch their idols battle. Over half of the students were searching for a certain figure among the hundreds of different screens. Look, senior student Enlin is over there. Wow, how did he hook up with Lu Qianhuan? My heart hurts so much, me too. Why didn't senior student Enlin summon me? What are they doing? It feels like they're being a little sneaky. They seem to be following someone, but I can't see them clearly. Look, Prince Charming Xian Yuanqing has also begun his battle. I think he's fighting Hu Guan. There's no suspense. A female student immediately retorted with displeasure upon hearing this. What do you know? We're not looking to see how intense his battle is, we're looking at his face. Xian Yuanqing was probably the only person in the entire school who could make a student say such words openly and without any psychological burden. Hu Guan's punches were incomparably ferocious, and every punch had the power to collapse mountains and split the earth. However, Xian Yuanqing's sword was like flowing water, graceful and agile to the extreme. Every time, he would always be able to easily dispel Hu Guan's attack, and then conveniently leave a bloody mark on his arm. Xian Yuanqing usually wouldn't be too heavy-handed towards his students. Many of the students who lost to him were defeated due to the exhaustion of their vitality. When they fell to the ground, Xian Yuanqing only needed to push the blade of his sword towards them, and the defeat judgment seal would naturally be activated. Many students watching the crystal screen couldn't help but sigh. Xian Yuanqing's battle was really pleasing to the eye. Even though Hu Guan was the strongest among the first-year students, he was still worn down by Xian Yuanqing and collapsed to the ground. Student Hu Guan, your performance is not bad. You're the first person to force me into this state. Xian Yuanqing smiled warmly and stabbed his sword towards Hu Guan's heart. Hu Guan grimaced as he cursed in his heart. Xian Yuanqing seemed to have said the same line when he fought against the last student who lost to him. Would it kill him to change his line? Can't you be more sincere? Gotcha. A crisp sound rang out, and Hu Guan's defeat judgment seal appeared. A faint smile appeared on Xian Yuanqing's face as he nodded at Hu Guan before departing on his sword. At this moment, Lu Qianhuan and Enlin were running on the ground, chasing after Su Xiaolan, who was flying on her sword 1.5 kilometers away. Their cultivation bases were higher than Su Xiaolan's, and they were also far away, so it was easy for them to conceal their auras. After a night of rest, Su Xiaolan's injuries had mostly healed, and she began to battle again. Some of these students were of the Dao body stage, so they could take care of them in 1 or 2 strikes. Some of them were of the spirit nurturing stage, so they had to expend a bit more effort to defeat them, but they could still emerge unscathed. And Lin looked at Su Xiaolan in the distance, and he thought to himself that this free-for-all battle should be in the bag. Even if it wasn't, it had to be. Otherwise, he wouldn't be a man anymore. The enchantment barrier was slowly shrinking, and the battle was also becoming more and more intense. All of the students on the White Jade Plaza were looking at Lin with confused expressions. What's Senior Lin doing? Why isn't he fighting? It's been an hour already. He's running and stopping, and he's looking in a certain direction with a mysterious expression. What the hell is he doing? God's thoughts aren't something we can fathom. Perhaps he's plotting some earth-shattering battle with Senior Lu Qianhuan. I'm so looking forward to seeing Senior Lin fight after progressing to the soul formation stage. A pretty female student stared at the screen with infatuation on her face. All of the intense battles aside, just looking at Lin's sprinting figure was enough to make her heart flutter. Before they knew it, the enchantment barrier had already shrunk to a radius of 5 kilometers. There were only about 20 people left in the forest of 1,000 peaks, and Lin and Lu Qianhuan hadn't even made a move yet, but some of the students had already figured out who they were following. My God, they're tailing Su Xiaolan. What kind of ulterior motive is this? I'm really looking forward to it. I don't understand, I really don't understand. Look, Su Xiaolan and Xian Yuanqing have encountered each other. This image instantly attracted the attention of most of the students on the plaza. In the forest of 1,000 peaks, Su Xiaolan and Xian Yuanqing both faltered slightly upon seeing each other. Xian Yuanqing didn't think that he would have to battle Su Xiaolan, and his expression became solemn as Su Xiaolan had the ability to defeat him. Third year, Class 1, Xian Yuanqing, please enlighten me. He extended a graceful curtsy, as if he were a refined gentleman. Su Xiaolan also returned his curtsy, and was just about to speak when a soft voice suddenly sounded from the distance. Fifth year, Class 1, Lu Qianhuan, please enlighten me. Everything happened in a flash. A streak of pink light suddenly appeared before Su Xiaolan. Lu Qianhuan extended a respectful curtsy toward Xian Yuanqing with a smug expression on her face. Su Xiaolan and Xian Yuanqing both faltered upon seeing this. Lu Qianhuan, what are you? Su Xiaolan didn't know how to react. Lu Qianhuan smiled. Sister Su Xiaolan, this Xian Yuanqing is my prey, please step aside. Xian Yuanqing looked at the woman before him with a bitter expression. Sister Lu, I don't think I've provoked you. Lu Qianhuan blinked her bright purple eyes. Who told you to be so handsome? I've never sparred with a man as handsome as you before. Now that we're about to graduate, how about you fulfill your senior sister's wish? Xian Yuanqing. Su Xiaolan silently stepped aside and stood off to the side. All the students on the plaza stared at the scene unfolding on the crystal screen in bewilderment. Never would they have thought that Lu Qianhuan would target Xian Yuanqing after such a long time. What kind of unspeakable secret was this? Chapter 398. Lu Qianhuan began her attack right before everyone's expectant eyes. Her 6-feathered staff glowed brightly as beams of rainbow energy materialized before hurtling toward Xian Yuanqing. Each beam of light was comparable to a full-force attack from a spirit-nurturing final stage cultivator. Xian Yuanqing's expression was calm and collected as he executed the Tai Chi steps, evading the beams of energy with incredible speed. Occasionally, there would be 1 or 2 beams of light that he was unable to evade and would crash into his body, but they would also be warped by some kind of peculiar spatial distortion, thereby altering their trajectories. Rumble, behind him, the beams of light exploded, causing the earth to tremor violently. Be careful. Xian Yuanqing spoke lightly as he stamped his foot down, and his speed broke through the sound barrier as he charged toward Lu Qianhuan. Lu Qianhuan was in her young sorceress form, so she naturally couldn't allow Xianyuan Qing to get close to her, so she immediately retreated. Immortal Sealing Technique. Xianyuan Qing gripped the air toward the retreating Lu Qianhuan with his white-gloved left hand. All of a sudden, several semi-transparent golden chains appeared in the air before flying toward Lu Qianhuan like flying snakes. This was the immortal tool that Xianyuan Qing had purchased at the Shouyang tomb, the immortal sealing glove. You're so young, yet you're trying to use the binding play on me. Lu Qianhuan twisted her slender waist, and her six-feathered staff swept through the air to create a pink barrier of light that repelled the golden chains. However, in the split second that she had been delayed, Xianyuan Qing had already appeared before Lu Qianhuan with his ancient sword in hand. He unleashed his myriad spirit Tai Chi sword technique to its fullest extent and dragged Lu Qianhuan into a quagmire. He used the power of his myriad spirit fusion technique to completely suppress her and prevent her from being able to open up a distance. Lin's palms were drenched in sweat as he observed from a rock in the distance. He urged Lu Qianhuan to use her sword or she wouldn't have a chance anymore. At this moment, the area above the barrier had shrunk to the area where the final battle was taking place. The teacher who assessed the combat strength was still Dioscoria Kankingensis. He stroked his beard and looked at Xianyuan Qing with a gratified expression. Xianyuan Qing's Tao of myriad spirit Tai Chi has already been integrated into his body, and there's a hint of firmness and decisiveness in his gentleness. He's like a blood-soaked warrior on the battlefield, and he's not far away from attaining soul formation stage. At this time, a spatial fluctuation suddenly came from beside him. Then, a man with thick eyebrows, big eyes, and a mustache passed through the space and came to Dioscoria Kankingensis' side. He said, "This student Xianyuan Qing should have comprehended the Tao in the mortal world. I don't know what he experienced, but he went from being gentle to encompassing all things, slowly transforming into a move that contained explosive power in his body. He's like an invisible bomb that could explode at any moment." Dioscoria Kankingensis immediately bowed respectfully with a smile. "Vice Principal Yuhua, I didn't think you'd find the time to come and spectate the battle. How rare." Vice Principal Yuhua smiled. "I'm here mainly to see the performance of our school's soul formation stage prodigy. I hope he won't disappoint me." He turned his gaze toward Dioscoria Kankingensis' scoreboard as he spoke, searching for a certain name. His face convulsed slightly when he saw the name, Unlin. Unlin, combat strength? Achievement points? What's going on? Vice Principal Yuhua was astonished. Student Unlin hasn't even fought a single battle. Look, he's still hiding behind that rock, concealing his aura. Dioscoria Kankingensis pointed to a rock not far away. Vice Principal Yuhua was even more perplexed upon seeing the man observing from the shadows. What's he doing? Does he need to wait for an opportunity to strike with his level of power? Doesn't he like to flex? Why isn't he fighting? A powerful being of the soul formation stage was already predicted to rank number 1 on the Immortal Rankings board. Who would have thought that he hadn't even fought a single battle up until now? This was simply incomprehensible. Dioscoria Kankingensis also heaved a long sigh. Perhaps Student Unlin encountered some problems after transcending the tribulation. You and I both know that the tribulation lightning was extremely strange. Perhaps he encountered some additional obstacles during that tribulation? Is that why he can't fight? Celestial Immortal Yuhua considered this possibility. In any case, everything related to Unlin couldn't be judged by common sense. This made him even more eager to see what would happen next. Meanwhile, the battle between Xianyuan Qing and Lu Qianhuan had reached its climax. Under Xianyuan Qing's relentless attacks, Lu Qianhuan had sustained many injuries and expended a lot of vital energy. Xianyuan Qing's white sword projection became more and more dazzling, forming a boundless trapping formation that she was unable to escape from. On the White Jade Plaza, most of the students had their attention focused on the battle between Lu Qianhuan and Xianyuan Qing. Who would have thought that Lu Qianhuan would be suppressed by Xianyuan Qing? Xianyuan Qing's swordsmanship is becoming more and more terrifying. Sigh, I was hoping that student Lu Qianhuan would be able to bring glory to our fifth-year seniors, but in the end, she's still going to lose to a third-year prodigy? Xianyuan Qing is only spirit-nurturing final stage, but Lu Qianhuan is a half-step soul formation stage cultivator. I can't believe that she would be defeated by someone of a higher rank than her. I can't accept this. What's so unacceptable about this? Think about how many times God has defeated people of a higher rank than him. That makes sense. I feel much better now that I think about it. What does that have to do with us fifth-year seniors? It's still the third-year prodigy within the forest of 1,000 peaks. Streaks of white sword projections swept through the wind and clouds. Lu Qianhuan's body moved rapidly as she defended against Xianyuan Qing's attacks with great difficulty. Lu Qianhuan, use your sword, Xianyuan Qing said calmly as he swung his sword. There's no need to hold back here. I need a fair and square battle. Lu Qianhuan sighed lightly in her heart as she looked at Xianyuan Qing's determined expression. She then recalled what Lin had once said, and she finally made up her mind. Her storage ring flashed, and a light blue longsword appeared in her hand. A crisp ringing sound reverberated through the air, and the great ice sword appeared. It was also in that instant that the entire heaven and earth was filled with snow and wind. Lu Qianhuan wore a blue ribbon as she stepped on the snow and ice. An aura of extreme frost spread out in all directions, forming an absolute domain. The tens of thousands of students on the White Jade Plaza were all dumbstruck upon seeing this. Apart from the true intent trial of the Tao Exchange Conference of the Four Powers, this was the first time they had seen Lu Qianhuan fight with a sword. The proud and aloof woman standing alone in the frosty sky was deeply imprinted into their minds. Even Vice Principal Yu Hua was astonished. Who would have thought that student Lu Qianhuan's domain would be a climate domain? When this domain is used to its fullest extent, it has the power to transform heaven and earth. As expected of the ancient sword Tao physique, as expected of the exceptional prodigy of the heavenly sword sect. Sigh. It's just a pity that there's a knot in her heart. Very well, I'm going to use my full strength as well. Xianyuan Qing's expression was calm as a dazzling light erupted from the white gloves in his hands. At the same time, the projection of the yin-yang symbol beneath his feet expanded to 100 feet, dispelling the oncoming frost. Myriad Spirit Tai Chi, True Sun / A peerless golden light suddenly burst forth from Xianyuan Qing's longsword, which instantly pierced through the clouds and caused the enchantment barrier in the sky to tremor and crack. Stunning snow! Lu Qianhuan's slender hand gripped the great ice sword tightly as she slashed it through the air. Countless snowflakes surged forth as frost and ice surged into the sky. The golden light descended upon Lu Qianhuan, and it was imbued with the true yang intent of all things. It tore through the solidified space and melted the swirling snow and wind. Boundless white snow blotted out the sky, and the power of extreme frost within it froze everything it came into contact with. It clashed relentlessly with the golden sword projection, transforming heaven and earth into two colors of gold and white. Chapter 399. The collision of the two spell techniques transformed heaven and earth within a radius of several hundred meters into a wasteland. In the end, the boundless white snow engulfed the golden sword projection, froze Xianyuan Qing's yin-yang symbol, and inundated Xianyuan Qing's body. Lin was extremely shocked as he looked on from behind the boulder. The freezing effect of Lu Qianhuan's spell technique was comparable to the most powerful freezing effect of the Purple Star Extreme Frost trial. If he were at the spirit nurturing stage, he might not be able to break through this spell technique even if he used the origin energy of the netherworld. Xianyuan Qing's defeat judgment seal was activated, and a golden light enshrouded his entire body. Lu Qianhuan withdrew her domain and turned to Xianyuan Qing with an apologetic expression. "I'm sorry." Xianyuan Qing shook his head with a smile. "That's not like you. You defeated me fair and square, why are you apologizing?" Lu Qianhuan faltered slightly upon hearing this before a faint smile appeared on her face. She looked on as Xianyuan Qing transformed into a streak of golden light and disappeared between heaven and earth. The students on the White Jade Plaza were already in an uproar. This was the first climax of the free-for-all battle. "Lu Qianhuan is so beautiful, I've already fallen in love with her. This is the first time I've seen her soul formation stage domain. I didn't think it would be so powerful. Student Lu Qianhuan has finally won back the pride of our fifth-year cohort. I'm so happy. Thinking about how I won't be able to see Lu Qianhuan after graduation, I feel like my heart is being twisted by a knife. Thinking about how I won't be able to see Senior and Lin in 2 years, my heart hurts so much that I can't breathe. Hey student, you're thinking too far ahead." Which B** starred just said that Lu Qianhuan would be defeated by Xianyuan Qing. Step forward. Please be careful with your words, you're going to be surrounded by over 10,000 burly men if you say something like that. Just as the students were discussing fervently, Su Xiaolan had already made her way toward Lu Qianhuan. She then stopped in her tracks with a conflicted expression on her face. Even though it wasn't uncommon to land a killing blow in the free-for-all battle, she was still acquainted with Lu Qianhuan, so she couldn't bear to do something like this. Lu Qianhuan had just endured a fierce battle, and her body was riddled with many wounds. The vital energy within her sea of vital energy had also been severely depleted, and her complexion was also a little pale. She looked at Su Xiaolan and raised her sword. "Student Su Xiaolan, it's your turn now. Please enlighten me." Su Xiaolan hesitated for a moment before she shook her head and said with a firm expression, "Lu Qianhuan, I don't want to take advantage of you. Take a rest first and recover from your injuries. After that, we'll have a proper battle." "Lu Qianhuan, what's with this stubborn personality? You didn't take advantage of this sister's poor state to deal the finishing blow, and you want me to slowly recover my HP?" She looked at the determined expression on Su Xiaolan's face, and could not help but feel a headache coming on. What was going on? She had already displayed her true strength in front of everyone. If she were to recover and go easy on Lu Qianhuan, everyone would be able to tell. If that happened, Su Xiaolan would definitely feel that she was being looked down upon and humiliated. Then, she would strongly urge Lu Qianhuan to fight seriously. That would be troublesome, however. If she didn't go easy on Lu Qianhuan, there was no guarantee that Su Xiaolan would be able to defeat her. At this moment, a figure suddenly leaped into the air near Lu Qianhuan. And Lin's body suddenly appeared in the air, and his aura was as boundless as the sea, giving off a feeling of invincibility. Tens of thousands of students on the White Jade Plaza saw Lin move, and they all stared at the screen in excitement. Some of them even screamed uncontrollably. A boundless golden light burst forth from Lin's right hand, and his left hand drew upon the lightning of heaven and earth. "I am the only one in this world. I'm going to destroy the heavens and earth." Following his loud roar, the lightning fused into the projection of his golden fist. Darkness of origin realm, fusion, lightning amplification technique. The golden fist was imbued with the boundless power of the earth, and the black lightning was imbued with the terrifying power of annihilation. After the two of them combined, the space around them instantly began to tremor. A terrifying power radiated outward, and Lu Qianhuan and Su Xiaolan were both struck by a sense of asphyxiation. And Lin's eyes lit up, and he had already stowed his heavenly ice holy robe into his storage ring. He had abandoned all other defensive measures for this moment. He glanced at Lu Qianhuan before viciously smashing his right fist into the ground. Nuclear lightning fist. The golden fist crashed into the ground, and black lightning blossomed like a lotus flower, causing the golden fist to contract before exploding. Boom! An explosion erupted between heaven and earth as boundless light, heat, and lightning engulfed and annihilated all things. The earth tremored violently, and a terrifying shockwave swept forth for several kilometers, sending dirt and soil flying into the air as a massive mushroom cloud rose into the air. Lin had been engulfed by the terrifying energy, but there was a smile of release on his face. There was a rule in the free-for-all battle, and that was that if no one from either side introduced themselves, then it wouldn't count as an official battle invitation. As such, all of their non-targeted activities wouldn't count toward their battle capability or achievement point. Lin, Lu Qianhuan, and Su Xiaolan didn't reveal their identities, and Lin's attack was aimed directly at the ground, so no matter what damage he inflicted, it wouldn't count toward his achievement points. Su Xiaolan had defeated Zhuo Qiubing, who was at the half-step soul formation stage, as well as the powerful Su Qianyun, so her battle capability wouldn't be much lower than Lu Qianhuan's. In terms of achievement points, she would definitely be far superior to Lu Qianhuan, who hadn't killed many monsters. Hence, as long as Lu Qianhuan withdrew here and eliminated all other variables, Su Xiaolan's number 1 spot on the Immortal Rankings board would be secured. The earth-shattering explosion inundated the relaxed Lin, the disgruntled Lu Qianhuan, and even the flabbergasted Su Xiaolan in the distance. On the White Jade Plaza, tens of thousands of students stared at the white crystal screen with dumbstruck expressions. The entire plaza was eerily silent. After a while, a student murmured, "What on earth is Lin doing? I can't figure it out with my IQ. No matter how many times I've seen a move that kills 800 enemies with 1,000 casualties, I still get excited." So Senior Lin really did drag Lu Qianhuan and Su Xiaolan down with him? Su Xiaolan is quite far away, so she might be fine. However, Lu Qianhuan is definitely screwed. The more I think about it, the more I find it strange. Lin and Lu Qianhuan had been sneaking around for so long, and then Lin used a powerful technique to kill himself and Lu Qianhuan. What the F***ck is he doing? As soon as he said that, the scene fell into silence again. Perhaps the words of a certain student really are true. God's thoughts aren't something we can fathom. Someone murmured. All the students nodded in agreement. They were completely dumbstruck. There was clearly a better way to fight, so why did he self-destruct? What was the point of everything Senior Lin did in the past? This was like a suspense drama of the year. Above the enchantment barrier, Vice Principal Yuhua and Dioscoria Kankangensis looked at each other before turning their eyes toward the location of the explosion. The energy from the explosion dissipated, and Lu Qianhuan's defeat judgment seal had already been activated. Lin opened his eyes, and his entire body was in excruciating pain. He saw a space filled with smoke and dust, and the cracked and sunken ground. However, he didn't see the golden protective barrier around him. The purple star flame, great holy flame, setting moon flame, and heavenly void flame had enveloped his entire body. Lin. So this meant that the 4 divine fires were protecting their master, allowing him to escape this calamity and not trigger the defeat judgment seal? Chapter 400. Su Xiaolan opened her eyes with great difficulty, and a dazed expression appeared on her delicate features as she stared at the crumbling earth and the vast expanse of dust and debris before her. What was Lin doing? She was extremely perplexed. Su Xiaolan gritted her teeth as she stood up. Her body swayed slightly, and she threw up another mouthful of blood. Because of the sudden explosion, her body had already suffered quite a bit of damage, but she still firmly walked towards the center of the explosion step by step. Finally, she saw Lin, whose clothes were in tatters and his body was charred black. Lin's injuries were much more severe than hers. If it weren't for the fact that he possessed a soul formation stage body, his defeat judgment seal would have been activated a long time ago. Lin, are you alright? Su Xiaolan was about to ask Lin why he was doing this, but for some reason, her question became one of concern and concern. Lin shook his head with a smile, as he used his evil slaying sword to support his body. He turned toward the woman in a plain Taoist robe who was slowly walking toward him. The two of them were already less than 100 meters apart. Lin gritted his teeth as he pointed his sword at Su Xiaolan. His voice was clear, but it was filled with determination. Third year, Class 1, Lin, please enlighten me. Su Xiaolan's footsteps faltered as she stared at Lin with incredulity. She bit down on her lower lip and raised her chin with a hint of arrogance. I won't fight you. Lin's expression faltered slightly before he replied. When two people meet in the free-for-all battle, as long as one of the students introduces themselves, they can force the other party to fight. But I can also choose to run away. With your current condition, do you think you can catch up to me? Su Xiaolan asked with a serious expression. Lin, I'll catch up to you. No matter where you run to, I'll catch up to you. Lin looked at Su Xiaolan and spoke slowly, as if he was saying something that couldn't be denied. Su Xiaolan's heart trembled. These were clearly very strange words, but she couldn't move away from this place. Why are you doing this? Su Xiaolan asked. Defeat me. I can't defeat anyone in my current condition. Losing to you is the best choice for me. Lin walked toward Su Xiaolan as he spoke. Su Xiaolan looked at Lin's determined footsteps, and she couldn't help but recall the battle from that day. That battle yesterday, it was me. Lin didn't wait for Su Xiaolan to finish before nodding and admitting. Su Xiaolan's eyelashes fluttered, and she closed her eyes slightly. She took a deep breath and said, Then you should defeat me. I'm willing to lose to you. Lin smiled. Didn't I say it before? I only bully others, not you. Su Xiaolan stood rooted to the spot as the conversation in the cafeteria slowly surfaced in her mind. I'm not like you. You're already number 1, so please go easy on me, Earth Immortal Lin. No problem, no problem. I only bully others, not you. That day, she smiled sweetly and only cared about teasing Lin. Lin also replied with a nonchalant expression. Even though Lin had said something that made her a little happy, she had thought that it was just a casual remark. Never would she have thought that Lin would make such a promise. Su Xiaolan felt a lump in her throat as she stared at Lin with reddened eyes. Lightning and flames flashed past the dragon sparrow's sword as it faced Lin, who was walking toward her. Lin began to run faster and faster, and his evil-slaying sword transformed into a black shadow. Third year, Class 1, Lin, please enlighten me. Third year, Class 1, Su Xiaolan, please enlighten me. Golden flames and lightning flashed past, and crimson blood splattered into the sky. Thank you, Lin said softly as he pressed a hand over the bloody wound on his arm. His defeat judgment seal had already been activated, and a golden protective barrier enshrouded his entire body. You're being too much of a bully. Su Xiaolan lowered her head, and the dragon sparrow sword in her hand trembled slightly. A single tear trickled down from the corner of her eye, and it shimmered under the illumination of the flames. Lin looked at Su Xiaolan. Her beautiful face was already stained with blood. Lin wanted to wipe it off for her, but he discovered that there was a golden barrier between them. In the end, his body faltered, and he fell into the darkness of teleportation. F*CKU system. He had already cursed the system 10,000 times in his heart. On the white jade plaza, all the students stared at the crystal screen with their minds in complete disarray. Could this be the legendary love-hate relationship? Senior Lin was defeated just like that? I can't accept this. How did this happen? Sigh, I wanted to see Senior Lin's battle the most in this free-for-all battle, but who would have thought that it would end like this? I seem to have understood something after seeing Goddess Su Xiaolan's expression. Just as the students were discussing spiritedly among themselves, a streak of golden light converged, and Lin appeared on the white jade plaza. All the students around him turned to look at him, some with scorching light in their eyes, some with confusion, and some with a hint of sympathy on their faces. He heaved a sigh of relief before lying down on the ground and closing his eyes as he accepted the healing effects of the spell formation. He didn't hear or see anything in the air above the enchantment barrier of the forest of 1,000 peaks. Song Qing, who was responsible for recording the combat capability, was feeling a headache and exasperation. Vice Principal Yu Hua was also at a complete loss. He was here to witness Lin's power after progressing to the soul formation stage, wasn't he? And now, they were being given a battle like this? Song Qing, what do you think of this? Celestial Immortal Yu Hua asked. Principal, Song Qing feels like there's something fishy going on here. Dioscorea Kankengensis replied with a solemn expression. Vice Principal Yu Hua glared at Song Qing. Can you not talk nonsense with me? Everyone knows there's something fishy about this battle. Dioscorea Kankengensis wiped the sweat off his forehead. I think Student Lin has given up on himself. Otherwise, he's trying to hide his strength and self-destruct to withdraw from the free-for-all battle. Vice Principal Yu Hua rolled his eyes. Then he could have self-destructed as soon as he entered. Why would he want to harm others? Dioscorea Kankengensis naturally knew what Vice Principal Yu Hua was referring to. Could it be that he did this for Su Xiaolan? He asked with an uncertain expression. It's not just Lin. Perhaps even Lu Qianhuan did this for Su Xiaolan. Sigh. I really don't understand the thoughts of these young people. Vice Principal Yu Hua sighed with a weary expression. Dioscorea Kankengensis looked at the newly updated names on the scoreboard. Su Xiaolan, Combat Capability, 1180, Achievement Score, 1320. Lu Qianhuan, Combat Capability, 1310, Achievement Score, 680. Xianyuan Qing, Combat Capability, 1030, Achievement Score, 890. Lin, Combat Capability, 120, Achievement Score. 0. Lin's combat capability was evaluated based entirely on his running speed and the speed of his sword strikes during the final battle. Fortunately, Dioscorea Kankengensis had sharp eyes. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to see through Lin's combat capability. Lin probably won't be able to make it onto the Immortal Rankings board. Should I help him increase his combat capability so that he can at least make it into the top 100? Otherwise, I'm afraid he'll suffer a severe setback if he falls too far behind, Dioscorea Kankengensis murmured to himself. Vice Principal Yu Hua glared at him. As a teacher, you can't mix in your personal feelings, understand? Dioscorea Kankengensis sighed. I know. I'm just feeling sorry for Student Lin. Chapter 401. The battle in the forest of 1,000 peaks came to an end. Su Xiaolan rested for a while before starting her battle again. Without the top few opponents on the Immortal Rankings board, there were no more students who could stop her. Finally, she became the last person to remain in the forest of 1,000 peaks amidst a flurry of cheers. The free-for-all battle came to an end. Su Xiaolan took first place on the Immortal Rankings board, Lu Qianhuan second, Xianyuan Qing third, Zhou Qiubing fourth, and Su Qianyun fifth. Tang Shiman was eliminated too quickly and only managed to take seventh place. As for sixth place, it was taken by his classmate Duan Lang. All the students suddenly discovered that the third-year students from Class 1 had already occupied half of the top spots on the Immortal Rankings board. And this was even after Student Lin had pulled off a huge upset and failed to make it into the top 100 of the Immortal Rankings board. Setting aside the top 3, there were also Lu Zhan, Miao Tian, Zhong Yongyan, Sun Xinglian, Luo Ziping, Tang Man, and Xikong Shu. They were all third-year students of Class 1 of the Spirit Nurturing stage, and they had also performed well in the free-for-all battle. The students then counted the top 100 on the Immortal Rankings board and discovered that there were over 30 third-year students. The implications behind this number were simply too terrifying. We've been outshone by our juniors? What? We've been cultivating for 2 more years than them. They're not giving us a F***king chance. A fifth-year female student complained with an aggrieved expression. Why are the third-year students so strong? Are we really studying the same set of textbooks? A fourth-year student was perplexed. Do you guys think it's because of the end-of-year test against the ant tribe that they've changed a lot? A student speculated. That makes sense. The battle that time was particularly tragic, and many people died. Countless students and teachers were injured. Experiencing the trials of life and death often makes one's Tao heart more resolute and allows one to grow faster. Some students immediately chimed in upon hearing this. God's halo is also protecting them, that must be one of the reasons. Haha, this junior brother's words do make some sense. The free-for-all battle drew to a close amidst the discussions of the students. However, Unlin's battle was not over yet. After he opened his eyes, he discovered that a large group of people were looking at him with unfriendly gazes. Immediately, his body trembled and his heart sank. Lu Qianhuan, Xianyuan Qing, Su Qianyun, Su Xiaolan, and Tang Shimin all wore mysterious expressions on their faces. Tang Shimin chuckled. What an earth-shattering scheme. Even I've been sucked into it. Unlin blinked before glaring at Lu Qianhuan. He almost yelled the word, traitor, out loud. Lu Qianhuan stuck out her tongue cheekily with a mischievous expression on her face. Who told you to blast me with your nuclear fist? You didn't tell me you were going to do that. You really scared me to death. After that, Tang Shimin came to complain to me, so I didn't want to take the blame for you anymore. Don't blame me for being a heartless person. I'm only an accomplice, not the main culprit. Also, I'm not done with you blowing me up with a nuclear bomb. She glared viciously at Unlin as she spoke. Unlin's mouth gaped open. He didn't think that Lu Qianhuan would make a false accusation at a time like this. He turned his pleading gaze toward Xianyuan Qing. Xianyuan Qing heaved a forlorn sigh. Unlin, if you want Su Xiaolan to become number 1 on the Immortal Rankings board, you can talk to us and find a better method. I don't approve of using the same method. Also, I'm sure that Su Xiaolan won't be happy if she becomes number 1 on the Immortal Rankings board through this method. Unlin turned to Su Xiaolan to find that she was glaring at him with a frosty expression. It was clear that Su Xiaolan was the angriest among all of them. She didn't say anything. She merely stared coldly at Unlin, causing Unlin to feel immense pressure. That's right, Su Xiaolan is so powerful. She can become number 1 on the Immortal Rankings board just by relying on her own abilities. Classmate Unlin, what you're doing is unnecessary. Su Qianyun also chided him in a mellow voice. She had a simple plan in mind. If she could make Su Xiaolan the number 1 on the Immortal Rankings board, then she wouldn't be so humiliated when she lost to Su Xiaolan. Do you have anything else to say? Su Xiaolan's cold voice sounded. She looked at the man on the ground with the majesty of a queen. What else could Unlin say? He couldn't betray that shameless system, so he could only offer a sincere apology. Lu Qianhuan, I'll play games with you for 2 days, he offered with a serious expression. Huh? Alright, no problem. We'll forget about this. Excitement flashed through her purple eyes. She was clearly very satisfied with this apology. Su Qianyun, I, Sword Immortal Unlin, will personally train you in the way of the sword for 2 days. Unlin continued. Huh? Classmate Unlin, you didn't do anything wrong to me. However, it's a rare opportunity to train me in the way of the sword, so I'll accept. Su Qianyun was ecstatic upon hearing this, and a blush appeared on her face. Unlin was very satisfied. Su Xian's slip of paper had finally come in handy. Su Xiaolan's expression turned even colder. Unlin turned toward Tang Shimin. Senior student Tang, I'll give you 50,000 spirit stones. Tang Shimin's chest constricted. Classmate Unlin, are you trying to get rid of a beggar? Am I such a shallow person? 100,000 spirit stones, Unlin replied with a serious expression. That's more like it. A wide smile appeared on Tang Shimin's face. Unlin, everyone. Unlin then turned his gaze toward Xianyuan Qing. Looking at this handsome, rich, and flawless man who didn't lack anything, he couldn't help but feel a headache coming on. Big brother Qing, we're such close friends, Xianyuan Qing smiled warmly. There's no need for apologies. Seeing as you've admitted your mistakes, I'll naturally choose to forgive you. Lin was extremely touched, and tears welled up in his eyes. He didn't know what to say as he looked at this man who had forgiven and forgiven him. See, what is true love? This is true love. Lin finally turned his gaze towards Su Xiaolan, and he swallowed nervously. Even though he had successfully helped Su Xiaolan clinch the #1 spot on the Immortal Rankings board, he knew that Su Xiaolan was the angriest among all of them. There was no need to ask why. Just the fact that he had made Su Xiaolan cry in the Forest of 1,000 Peaks was enough to prove everything. He had never encountered a situation like this before, and he thought about it for a moment before pulling out the last mooncake from his storage ring. The fragrance of osmanthus wafted through the air as soon as the mooncake appeared. Xiaolan, I was wrong, please forgive me. This is the last mooncake from Chang'e. This mooncake represents my heart, please accept it. He handed the mooncake to Su Xiaolan as he spoke. Tang Shiman's eyes widened in astonishment. Su Qianyun cocked her head to the side with a calm expression. She was very curious about what was so special about this mooncake. Xianyuan Cheng also smiled and didn't say anything, as if he were enjoying a good show. As for Lu Qianhuan, she felt like her heart had shattered into pieces. She recalled how Lin had told her that there was only one mooncake, and that they could split it in half. She wanted nothing more than to pounce on Lin and bite him to death. Chapter 402. Lin passed the mooncake to Su Xiaolan in an extremely sincere manner, and his sincerity was practically written all over his face. Su Xiaolan's expression softened slightly, but she still gently pushed the mooncake away. You've already given me a mooncake once, so I don't want it anymore. I still have something to do, so I'll be taking my leave now. You guys chat. Su Xiaolan turned to leave as she spoke. Lin held the mooncake in his hand, and his heart felt empty as a sense of grievance welled up in his heart. Tang Shiman swallowed involuntarily as he looked at the mooncake in Lin's hand. If he had known this would happen, he would have refused Lin's spirit stone apology. Perhaps he would have been able to get a mooncake from Chang'e. Lin's interest was completely drained, and he bade farewell to his friends before flying back to his residence on his brick. In the air, he looked at the system that he hated so much that he gritted his teeth. He saw that the column for special missions had already displayed a notification that the mission had been completed. Congratulations, host, for completing the mission. Keep a low profile. I'll help you become an immortal. You now have one chance at the lottery. You have the following rewards: Frowny Face Spirit Tool, 50, Immortal Tool, 10, Unique Weapon, 1, Divine Tool, 3. Lin finally stopped cursing in his heart as he looked at the system description. There were 100 magic tools from the lottery last time, but there were only 3 divine tools now. This meant that the quality of the items from the lottery most likely had something to do with his cultivation base. Now that he was at the soul formation stage, magic tools had also been removed from the system. Furthermore, the number of these items was fixed as the system only had 2 unique weapons in the past. Ever since he obtained the black brick, the number of unique weapons had been reduced to 1. But that didn't matter. He had no interest in unique weapons anyway. His focus had always been on the divine tools. Lin's eyes burned with a scorching light. He had heard that divine tools were all legendary weapons that had the ability to pierce through heaven and earth. Who would have thought that the system would give him a chance to obtain such a weapon? He swallowed and began to select the items in his mind. At this moment, the system also began to emit a dazzling light. Ding-ling! Congratulations, you've won the grand prize! Lin's body trembled upon hearing this, and his breathing accelerated to the point where he was about to suffocate. I've won a big prize. Do you hear me? I've hit the jackpot. This is definitely a godly weapon. I am invincible, ha 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 ha. He looked at the system, only to see golden words appearing in the system. Congratulations! You have obtained a special weapon, chaotic frying pan. This wok is suitable for baking, roasting, steaming, roasting, and stir-frying. It has the effect of enhancing the taste. There is no oil smoke, and it does not stick to the wok. It is the best wok in the world. The workmanship of this pot was exquisite. It had a perfect circular outline, and it had the most comfortable color. It was pleasing to the eye and made people happy. It was the most exquisite pot in the world. Hua! A pitch-black frying pan with a shiny golden exterior appeared in Lin's hand. The feel of the handle was very good, and its appearance was indeed pleasing to the eye. It was very good-looking, far better than the black brick, and Lin's entire body trembled, and a mouthful of blood welled up in his chest. Specially made weapon? And you're telling me this wok is a weapon? Weapons were used in battle. How the F***ck was this wok supposed to be used in battle? Even if the enemy could be placed on it, roasted, steamed, roasted, and fried, the size of the wok was not big enough. F***ck. And Lin almost blacked out with rage, and he almost threw the frying pan away. This system was definitely doing this on purpose. Unscrupulous system, give me back my immortal tool. Give me back my divine tool. And Lin angrily returned to his room. Even swallowing a calming pill did nothing to him. This system was getting more and more outrageous. This lucky draw was definitely rigged behind the scenes. He had risked becoming a eunuch and painstakingly completed the mission, but all he got was a frying pan? How could the system be so shameless as to pull such a stunt? F***ck, this F***king frying pan. Why am I working so hard? Even celestial maiden Xiaolan is giving up on me, but all I get in return is a stupid frying pan like you. A series of crackling sounds erupted from the kitchen, as well as Lin's enraged roar. Xiao Chou was perplexed. Why is Big Brother throwing a tantrum at a frying pan? Dabai was lying lazily on a straw mat. He opened his half-closed eyes upon hearing Lin's question. Big Brother was probably dumped by Su Xiaolan and had nowhere to vent his anger, so he decided to throw the frying pan away. Xiao Chou didn't understand what Lin was trying to say, so he nodded in understanding. Delicious food, baby loves it. Eat it all and don't waste anything. Food is delicious. Xiao Hong swayed its bright red head from side to side as it sang a nursery rhyme while photosynthesizing. Big Brother just went through a tough battle and came back covered in blood. Shouldn't he rest and recuperate first? Xiao Chou was still a little concerned. Dabai yawned. Don't worry, Big Brother is even more tenacious than a cockroach. These injuries will definitely not be a problem. Dabai closed his eyes and went back to sleep as he spoke. The sound of someone cooking suddenly erupted from the kitchen. F***ck, I finally got a reward. I'm not going to give up if I don't use it at least once. I hope this stupid frying pan can endure my divine flames. Lin's enraged roar sounded from the kitchen. It's over. Big Brother really has gone crazy. He's fighting with a frying pan. Xiao Chou's bright eyes were filled with sympathy, but he didn't know how to console Lin. Before he knew it, the rich aroma of eggs wafted from the kitchen. Xiao Chou was rooted to the spot. Dabai suddenly came to his senses and Xiao Hong stopped singing. This smell, it smelled so good. My God, I only knew that Big Brother's barbecue was pretty good, but why does his cooking smell so good too? Woof! Dabai exclaimed. Who would have thought that there would be food in this world that could make my heart thump with excitement while I'm photosynthesizing? Xiao Hong said in her sweet voice. Xiao Chou didn't say anything as he charged into the kitchen. Dabai let loose a cry of surprise upon seeing this. Don't even think about stealing food from me, little brother 3. I'm your big brother Bai, so I'll go first. According to seniority I should go first. Xiao Hong transformed into a young woman in a red dress and charged into the kitchen. Upon entering the kitchen, all of the beast pets were greeted by the sight of a plate of golden food that had just been cooked. Lin looked at the food on the plate with a spatula in his hand, and fell into a long silence. Dabai took a deep breath and pointed at the food. Big brother, what is this? Lin replied indifferently, egg fried rice. Impossible! Dabai, Xiao Chou, and Xiao Hong yelled in unison. How could egg fried rice have such a golden color? How could egg fried rice exude such an alluring aroma? Believe it or not, this is egg fried rice. It's cooked using the normal eggs and rice found in the school cafeteria, Lin continued. Xiao Hong pulled out a spoon and scooped up a spoonful of egg fried rice before taking a bite. Oh, this taste! My God! Xiao Hong's body turned limp as an indescribable blush appeared on her face. It's my turn, woof. Dabai also excitedly pulled out a spoon and took a bite, upon which he immediately faltered. His eyes then glowed as he opened his mouth and bit down on the plate. He was going to swallow both the plate and the egg-fried rice at the same time. Slap! Xiao Chou sent Dabai flying with a slap. He also pulled out a spoon and took a bite, upon which he stood rooted to the spot as if he had been struck by lightning. This taste is even more blissful than Mommy's. Tears welled up in Xiao Chou's light-bulb-like eyes. Lin had already taken a bite of the egg-fried rice, so he knew why all of the beast pets were behaving this way. This was all because this egg-fried rice was unbelievably delicious. He looked at the frying pan and fell into silence. After a long while, he finally said, as expected, "What's the point of cultivating? I'll just be a chef from now on." Chapter 403. Lin looked at the egg-fried rice on the plate. His 3 pet beasts were already fighting over this dish. He knew that with his cooking skills, there was no way he could cook such delicious egg-fried rice. Everything was because of the frying pan in his hand. The best frying pan in the world, the effect of enhancing the taste, was terrifying. Lin saw a bright future in front of him, and that was to become a gourmet supplier for all the worlds in the universe. He could open a unique shop with expensive prices. A bowl of egg-fried rice with soup cost 998 spirit stones, and he didn't accept pre-orders. He could only line up on the spot and let the customers wash their own plates after eating. As he thought about it, saliva dripped from the corner of his mouth. The boss was not crazy. He would become the first saint-grade immortal chef on this continent with his delicious food. From then on, he would own countless spirit stones and become the richest in the world. He would marry Bai Xianmei and reach the pinnacle of his life. Big brotherin, make us another plate of egg-fried rice. Woof! Dabai ran up to him with a swollen face. Woof Woof's big eyes were filled with tears, making him look especially adorable. Yeah, 1 plate isn't enough for the 3 of us. Make us 2 more plates, Big Brother, and Dabai's claw marks could still be seen on Xiao Chou's face, and his eyes also widened in shock as he put on a horrifying expression. Master, make us 3 more plates of egg-fried rice. That way we won't fight. Xiao Hong held onto Lin's hand with a fawning smile on her face. Her smile was extremely seductive. Lin was also in a state of excitement. He immediately agreed to the pet beast's request and cooked 4 plates of egg-fried rice. Clang, 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 it's done! As soon as the 4 plates of egg-fried rice were done, the pet beasts immediately swarmed over. A few seconds later, tui tui tui. What the F***ck is this? Am I eating dog food? No. It's **T. Woof. Dabai roared in disbelief. I will never admit that this is egg-fried rice. The clown took a bite and looked at Lin with a burning gaze. Master, are you hiding something? If you don't want to be fired by us, just say so. Little Red looked at Lin with a wronged expression. Lin was taken aback by the reaction of his pet beast. He had a bad feeling about this. He scooped up the egg-fried rice on the plate and took a bite. Ugh, so disgusting. He spat out the egg-fried rice in his mouth. Compared to the first plate of egg-fried rice he cooked, this was simply a pile of golden shit. Just from the taste alone, it wasn't that exaggerated. It was just that there was no harm without comparison. After the first plate of egg-fried rice, these 4 plates were really unpalatable. And Lin came to a realization. This was because the taste was ordinary egg-fried rice, not the egg-fried rice that was enhanced by the frying pan. Rumble. It was as if he had been struck by lightning. He stood rooted to the ground and lost all faith. My dream of being the supplier of gourmet delicacies in the universe has been shattered. My ability is gone. I've lost the ability to conquer the world. And Lin looked at the frying pan in his hand and suddenly burst into laughter. The most despairing thing was to first lift him up to heaven, and then let him fall to hell. Stinky Pan, how dare you bully me? I'm going to kill you. Bang bang, clap clap, dong dong, and Lin began to throw the frying pan in a frenzy. Big brotherin', so it's all because of the frying pan? I'll help you too, woof. Dabai pounced toward the frying pan in a fit of rage. I can tolerate this, but I can't tolerate this monkey. The clown picked up a metal rod and smashed it toward the frying pan. Let the sun cleanse this evil, unscrupulous frying pan. Give me back my egg-fried rice. Little Red raised both of her hands high into the air as golden rays of light bombarded the sinful frying pan. Bang bang, clap clap, dang dang, dong dong. After a series of brutal attacks, 1 human and 3 pet beasts lay panting heavily on the ground. The frying pan was indeed the best frying pan in the world. It was completely unscathed in the face of so many attacks. Big brotherin', the frying pan should be obedient now. Why don't you try another plate of egg-fried rice? Woof. Dabai looked at the frying pan on the ground with anticipation in his eyes. And Lin nodded. All right, I'll give it a try. He also felt like the frying pan had a spirit of its own. The frying pan was probably trying to prank him, so it should be obedient after a beating. Clang clang, clang clang, whoosh whoosh whoosh, a plate of egg-fried rice was ready. Here, have a taste. And Lin handed over the egg-fried rice. Dabai, Little Red, and the clown eagerly dug in. And then bang bang, clap clap, dang dang, dong dong, bang bang, clap clap, dang dang, dong dong. Dabai, Little Red, and the clown no longer believed in egg-fried rice as they vented their anger on the frying pan again. And Lin lay on his bed with a look of despair on his face as he slowly closed his eyes. The free-for-all battle had come to an end and he was extremely tired. The joy and excitement from winning the magic treasure lottery had already faded. He had yet to fully recover from his injuries and didn't know how to cheer up Su Xiaolan. This was all the system's fault. The next day, and Lin stretched his body and got out of bed. He used the frying pan to stir-fry a plate of beef and eggplant. The beef and eggplant were done and the fragrance wafted through the air. His body trembled as he smelled the fragrance, and a thought surfaced in his mind. He picked up a mouthful with his chopsticks and bit down. Ah! This smell! I feel like I'm looking at an angel. I feel like I'm looking at a snowy mountain under the starry night sky. The enchanting smell of roasted beef emanating from a bonfire. And Lin exclaimed as his chopsticks moved like lightning, instantly finishing the entire plate of beef and eggplant. He seemed to have understood something and decided to do another experiment. He stir-fried a second plate of beef and eggplant, which tasted like sh*t. He stir-fried another plate of egg-fried rice, which tasted like sh*t. He tried stir-fried a plate of pork, which tasted like sh*t. A door to a whole new world seemed to have opened up before him. I get it, I get it. This frying pan doesn't enhance the taste of every new dish I stir-fry. Instead, I can only enhance the taste of the dish once a day. And Lin laughed heartily as he began to feel relieved. He couldn't become a gourmet supplier, but that didn't matter. At the very least, he had proven that the frying pan still had its uses. His efforts in the free-for-all battle were not in vain. As for the second plate of beef and eggplant, egg fried rice and pork, he fed them all to Dabai. Dabai was still unable to forget the plate of egg fried rice from the day before, and he was on the verge of developing anorexia as he ate the dishes cooked by Enlin. Dabai's expression was bitter as he ate the dishes cooked by Enlin. Enlin's eyes lit up. At this moment, he had already thought of a way to cheer up Su Xiaolan. That's right, he had to use the frying pan. He had to use the delicious dishes to impress her. Su Xiaolan, just you wait and see how I, the god of cookery, Enlin, will conquer your stomach tomorrow. Chapter 404. It was a brand new day, and Enlin set off early to select his ingredient. The chicken meat was chosen from the Eastern Spirit Mountains firefowl chicken, while the onions and ginger were taken from the high-quality spiritual plants in the spiritual fields. Even the salt, oil, soy sauce, vinegar, and other seasonings were specially provided by the heavenly quartz god of cooking. On top of that, there was a bottle of 1982 Coke. That's right, he was going to make the world's #1 Coke chicken today. Enlin used the chaotic frying pan and the great holy flame as the heat source before stir-frying and simmering. He was extremely focused, as if he were cooking something extremely sacred. The alluring aroma finally attracted the attention of his 3 beast pets, who surrounded him with envious eyes, but Enlin kicked them aside without any hesitation. Piss off. This is for Xiaolan. Enlin snapped. Wah. Big brotherin, is Xiaolan more important than me in your heart? Woof. Dabai wailed. Yes. Enlin replied with a firm expression. Dabai, master, you're forcing me to go on a hunger strike. Lil Red had a tearful expression on her face. Her appearance was extremely moving and adorable. Enlin continued to focus on cooking. There's nothing wrong with you going on a hunger strike. You just need to photosynthesize. Big brotherin, I want to make a reservation for tomorrow. Xiao Chao's eyes lit up. If Xiaolan doesn't ask me to cook tomorrow, I can consider it. Enlin nodded. Dabai shuddered as he realized that he had missed out on this opportunity. However, his eyes suddenly lit up again. Big brotherin, after Su Xiaolan eats the chicken, doesn't she still have the bones left? Don't throw the bones away, leave them for me. Woof. Enlin. Half an hour later. Enlin carefully covered the dish with a lid before making his way toward the attic. He was going to give Su Xiaolan a big surprise and completely resolve the estrangement between the two of them. Dong dong dong, a woman opened the door, and when she saw the man holding a plate of food, a look of surprise appeared on her pretty face. Hi, celestial maiden Lon Lon, have you eaten? I have. Enlin wiped his sweat. Damn, the script wasn't right. It's not dinner time yet, is it? What about my surprise? What about my cola chicken? How about another meal? Enlin looked at Su Xiaolan and said pitifully. Su Xiaolan stared at the plate in Enlin's hand, blinked her bright eyes and asked, Did you make this yourself? Yes, don't worry. It's very delicious. Enlin nodded. Su Xiaolan's expression softened a little. She stepped aside and said, Then come in and talk. All right. Enlin finally returned to Su Xiaolan's house. This was a great step forward. Celestial Maiden Lon Lon, I'm not bragging, but my cooking skills have improved recently. In the entire Kingdom of the 9 States, there's probably no one who can match my cooking skills. Even those 3 arrogant beast pets fight over the food I make every day. Enlin couldn't hold back his emotions and began to brag as soon as he entered the house. Su Xiaolan pursed her lips. Best in the Kingdom of the 9 States? You dare to use such a title, and you're still saying you're not bragging? If you continue to be so shameless, I'll have to ask you to leave right now. Don't do that, you'll know once you try it. I guarantee that you'll be unable to extricate yourself from it. Enlin sat down and didn't plan to leave. He placed the dish in the middle of the table and spoke with a radiant expression. Su Xiaolan sneered. Enlin wasn't angry. Instead, he said in a serious tone, You don't believe me? How about we make a bet? Su Xiaolan raised an eyebrow. Bet on what? Let's bet on whether or not you'll be unable to resist eating the entire dish after taking a bite of my dish. If you can resist, then I lose. If you can't resist eating the entire dish, then I win, Anlin said with a serious expression. Su Xiaolan was curious. What about the stakes? If I lose, then I'll agree to any one of your conditions. If I win, then you'll forgive me for what I did during the free-for-all battle. How about that? Anlin looked at Su Xiaolan. Su Xiaolan thought about it for a moment. How could she possibly lose? She wasn't someone who valued food as much as her life, so she nodded. All right, the bet is set. Anlin smiled as he placed his hand on the lid of the dish. Now, it's time to witness a miracle. As soon as the lid was lifted, a piercing light suddenly erupted. A crisp cry erupted within the room, and the projection of a red phoenix soared into the sky from the dish. Anlin and Su Xiaolan were both dumbstruck. Holy F***ck, what the F***ck is going on? A phenomenon from the heavens? A fire chicken being reborn as a phoenix? There were no special effects added. Did it have to be so exaggerated? At the same time, an extremely alluring aroma instantly permeated the entire room. The colorful cola chicken appeared in front of the two of them, whetting their appetites. Anlin was the first to come to his senses. He tried his best to compose himself with a smile. The most important thing is the taste. Sorry for the insignificant trick. Su Xiaolan came to her senses and looked at the cola chicken in front of her. She then looked at Anlin, who wore a calm expression on his face, and a feeling welled up in her heart. He was clearly flexing, but he was also very bad *SS. Come, have a taste. I guarantee you won't be able to stop eating. Anlin rested his hands on the table with an expectant expression. Su Xiaolan nodded. She picked up her chopsticks and picked up a piece of brightly colored chicken before placing it in her mouth. In the instant that she chewed, an extremely delicious flavor exploded in her mouth. She felt as if her soul had left her body, and her entire body felt extremely comfortable. Delicious. This was Su Xiaolan's first impression. She picked up a second piece of chicken as if she were unable to control herself. The fried chicken was delicious. This was Su Xiaolan's second impression. Su Xiaolan was astonished. She exclaimed in her heart as she ate, "My God! How could there be such delicious food in this world?" Anlin looked at Su Xiaolan, who was incessantly eating, and a satisfied smile appeared on his face. The aroma filled the room. This cola chicken was extremely alluring. If it weren't for the fact that he hoped that Su Xiaolan would forgive him, he would have already pounced on it and devoured it. This was the first time that Su Xiaolan's table manners were so unfairylike. Her mouth was full of oil, and her white and tender cheeks were bulging as she chewed continuously. She looked at Anlin with her bright eyes and exclaimed, "Don't tell me you caught a phoenix and cooked it for me? How could cola chicken taste like this?" Anlin rolled his eyes. "Have you ever seen such a small phoenix?" Su Xiaolan laughed awkwardly and continued to eat. Then, she suddenly raised her head to look at Anlin. After thinking for a moment, she moved the plate toward Anlin and said, "Let's eat together." Anlin was overjoyed when he heard this. He had long wanted to eat this tempting aroma, but he didn't expect that Su Xiaolan would be so considerate. He immediately picked up his chopstick. Suddenly, he stopped his hands. "That was close. Luckily I'm quick-witted. I almost fell for your trick." Anlin looked at Su Xiaolan and said proudly, "The bet is that you have to finish this dish. If I eat it, doesn't that mean that you haven't finished this dish? Then wouldn't I lose? Ha ha ha, you want to trick me? You're still 10,000 years too early." Su Xiaolan looked at Anlin with a strange expression. In the end, she couldn't help but laugh out loud. "Hey, do you have to be so funny? I told you to eat, so you eat." Her smile was like a peach blossom spring breeze, or like the warm sun in winter, making people feel warm and satisfied. Anlin blinked his eyes. "Then the bet. Are you stupid? I told you to eat because I forgave you. Otherwise, how could I bear to share such a delicious phoenix chicken with you? I knew that Fairy Lon Lon is the best. The name you gave this dish is also very nice. Phoenix chicken is 100 times nicer than cola chicken. Stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and eat. Otherwise, I'll finish it. Okay, then I won't be polite. Just like that, the two of them finally got rid of all the estrangement because of a chicken and became friends again. Chapter 405. After resolving his conflict with Su Xiaolan, Lin was in a good mood. He hummed a tune as he walked back to his residence. Xiao Red, Dabai, and Xiao Chou all turned to look at Lin with nervous expressions. Brother-in? Did you take him down? Although Dabai saw that Lin had returned singing and seemed to be in a good mood, only the heavens knew if he was one of those pitiful people who had gone mad from the stimulation, so he decided to ask. Lin raised his fist with a smile. Since I'm doing it myself, of course it's a piece of cake. At this, excited cheers came from the attic. The three pet beasts were so excited that they cried. They knew that they would be able to eat delicious frying pan food tomorrow. The next day, Lin continued to cook egg fried rice with a frying pan. This time, he seemed to have learned his lesson and filled the pan with eggs and rice, maximizing the surface area of the pan. This meal made Xiao Chou, Dabai, and Xiao Red cry. It was so F***king delicious. So F***king satisfying. Lin also ate very seriously. He felt that the taste was slightly worse than the first time, but it was still the best of the best. On the third day, Lin steamed buns with a frying pan. 100 steamers at a time. When he placed the pan at the door to steam the buns, the steamers were stacked higher than the attic, scaring the students who passed by. Su Xiaolan was laughing so hard that she was trembling. This was the first time she had seen someone steam buns like this. It was truly a wonder. Xianyuan Cheng was also puzzled. He only thought that Lin's appetite was too good. Meanwhile, Su Qianyun stared blankly at the 100 steamers of buns. She smacked her lips and told Lin that quality was more important than quantity when it came to delicious food. In response to everyone's confusion and mockery, Lin simply gave them a what-do-you-know look. The day the buns were cooked would be the day his culinary skills would shake the school. 2 hours later, the steamed buns were ready. He couldn't wait to try one first. The taste was much worse than the egg fried rice, but it was still a very delicious bun. He couldn't stop eating. Lin began to understand the purpose of the frying pan. It could only enhance the taste once a day, and the total amount of flavor enhancement was roughly constant. In other words, if he steamed 10 steamers of buns, the flavor enhancement would be 10 times that of 100 steamers. However, it didn't mean that 10 steamers of stuffed buns were 10 times more delicious than 100 steamers of stuffed buns. This was because there was a basic value of taste. For example, 10 plus 10 and 10 plus 100 would only have a difference of 5 times in terms of taste. For example, if you cooked excrement and the basic taste was too bad, no matter how much you enhanced it, it wouldn't taste good. There was no possibility of the excrement being really fragrant. However, if it was an extremely delicious ingredient, it could be combined with the frying pan to create a peerless delicacy. Lin stared at the frying pan with an uncontrollable smile on his face. A vast vision of the future was taking shape. I'm definitely going to be the king of food. After the steamed buns were cooked, Lin gave one steamer to Su Xiaolan. Su Xiaolan ate the steamed buns in silence. Finally, she said, "Didn't you steam 100 steamers? Give me another 4 steamers." Lin was naturally more than happy to oblige. He eagerly gave another 4 steamers to Su Xiaolan and laughed heartily. Who was the one who said I was a weirdo when it came to steaming buns? Now you know how amazing I am, right? Su Xiaolan ignored Lin and continued to eat her steamed buns. Immediately afterward, he gave another steamer of stuffed buns to Xianyuan Cheng. After eating, Xianyuan Cheng finally understood why Lin wanted to steam 100 steamers of stuffed buns. This wasn't a matter of appetite. He was willing to eat 100 steamers of such delicious stuffed buns. After that, Lin gave another steamer of stuffed buns to Su Qianyun. Su Qianyun had never eaten such delicious stuffed buns before and almost choked on them. She then shyly asked for another 2 steamers of stuffed buns and praised Lin for being a genius. She even said that she wanted to learn how to make stuffed buns from Lin. Lin naturally refused her request. His secret technique was not to be taught to outsiders. After giving Su Qianyun 2 steamers of stuffed buns, he left. He loved to see these people being conquered by the stuffed buns. It felt so good. Lin was a little unsatisfied and continued to carry the steamed buns. Zong Yongyan, I have a stuffed bun for you. Big brotherin, you came all the way to my house just to give me stuffed buns? Hee hee, you're looking down on stuffed buns? Try some first. This flavor, it's so fragrant, oily but not greasy, crispy and delicious. Holy F***ck. Idioms can't describe my feelings anymore, it's so F***king delicious. Do you still dare to look down on stuffed buns? No, big brotherin, you really are a living chef god. Do you have more? Do I want more? No, goodbye. Amidst Zong Yongyan's cries, Lin waved his sleeves and left. After that, he went to Miao Tian's house. Miao Tian said that she had a small chest and needed more nutrition, so she forcefully asked for 2 more steamers of stuffed buns. After that, he went to Sun Shenglian's house. Sun Shenglian said that her chest was too big and that 1 steamer wasn't enough, so she asked for another one. After that, he went to Luo Zipping's house. Luo Zipping didn't have any good excuses, so he hugged onto Lin's thigh and begged Lin to give him another steamer. Lin naturally wouldn't refuse such a simple request and gave him another steamer. Lin was a little addicted to the feeling of giving stuffed buns, so he went to Lu Debao's house and gave him another steamer. Lu Debao was stunned after eating it, and he actually wanted to buy 10 steamers of stuffed buns at the price of 100 spirit stones per steamer. This sentence caused Lin to come to a sudden realization and found the path to riches. In order to express his gratitude, he sold 10 steamers of stuffed buns to Lu Debao at the price of 500 spirit stones per steamer. You're right, because Lin planned to sell the stuffed buns at a price of 1,000 spirit stones per steamer, and he gave Lu Debao a 50% discount. Lin then went to Zhao Huayin's house to deliver the stuffed buns. Zhao Huayin sighed as he ate. He finally understood why Dabai wanted to become Lin's beast pet so much. If it were him, he would do the same. After that, the young sorceress forgot to play games and became addicted to eating stuffed buns. Senior Tang saw hope in life because of eating stuffed buns. She was inspired by eating stuffed buns. Immortal pills should be like stuffed buns. Not only did they have practical value, but they also had to pay attention to the texture and taste. This way, it would be able to stimulate people's love for immortal pills. Lin then gave out stuffed buns to the other students. Each person was given one, so there were only 10 buns in each steamer. When those students still wanted to eat, Lin would say that he would be selling stuffed buns the next day, and those who wanted to eat stuffed buns could buy them on site. Just like that, the situation slowly developed. Hey, did you hear? Godin is going to sell stuffed buns at school. What? Selling stuffed buns? Did you hear that right? What does he want to do? He really is going to sell stuffed buns. I heard from an upper-class woman that his stuffed buns are super delicious. Really? Then I have to go try them. I don't have anything going on these days anyway. Do you know the location? I heard it's at the main entrance of the 3rd-year dorms. Did you hear? Anlin Jr. brother is going to sell stuffed buns. My God! Ever since the free-for-all battle began, Anlin has been behaving very strangely, and now he's selling stuffed buns again. Do you think he's been struck dumb by divine lightning? How about we go check it out tomorrow and support his business? Anlin Jr. brother is so pitiful. Ah, senior brother Anlin is going to sell stuffed buns, and he made them himself. I have to go try them. I'm going too. My idol, I have to go support him. Thus, news of Anlin's stuffed buns began to spread like wildfire throughout the entire university, creating a massive stir. Most of the students were discussing this matter passionately. Anlin had been busy for an entire day before he finally returned to his dorm, panting heavily as he carried the stuffed buns with him. Dabai, Xiao Chou, and Xiao Hong were already eagerly awaiting Anlin's arrival, and all of them tried their best to act cute and spoiled. Anlin had never seen such an enthusiastic Xiao Hong, never seen such an obedient Dabai, never seen such an adorably ugly Xiao Chou. And all of this was thanks to his limited edition weapon, the frying pan. Over 30 steamers of stuffed buns that had yet to be delivered appeared in the dorm. The 3 beast pets and Anlin were immersed in a carnival of delicacies, and their cheers made the entire dorm tremble. A new day had begun. Anlin's Dabai ignored stuffed buns were officially on sale.